just gonna.
Oh, I'm just gonna ask questions. They can ask questions too. But hey, guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. I am here sitting down with Shareese from Ready to Love. Listen, it's gonna be an explosive conversation. We're gonna get deep. We're gonna get real. We're gonna talk about Ready to Love, but also gonna try and get to know Shareese a little bit better because people are more than just the show. So, welcome to my guest, Shareese. How you doing today?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Now, Sharice, obviously, before we get into any kind of conversation, before we get deep, before we get into anywhere else, we want to be able to, make sure that you're actually a human being. So I like to make sure, first and foremost, we ask some human verification questions. Is that okay?
Yes, go
Good,
for it.
good, good, good. All right, cool. First question. Favorite color?
Green.
Oh, green. Why green?
I don't know. I just love the color green. It's always been my favorite.
Okay.
Also, black and white. But if you talk about a color, green.
Okay. All right. Cool. I like it. I'm wearing green, so that's obviously good luck
That's
charm
nice. I
today.
like it.
See, she's trying to butter me up, guys. Sharice is
That's
trying to
my
butter
shade of
me up.
green.
Yeah. She's trying to butter me up, guys. I'm falling already. I'm falling already. All right. Favorite color's done. Okay, green. We like it. All right. What would you say is your favorite number?
7.
Ooh. Okay. Has 7 been a lucky number for you in the past year, past few
Yeah, I
years?
just think 7 is like a number of completion. Yes.
That's biblical.
hmm
That's biblical.
I
Number of
also like the
perfection.
number 22.
Ooh. Why 22?
It's my birth date.
Oh, when's your birthday? Oh,
8/22.
birthday.
8/22.
Oh, so you're August.
August.
Oh, baby. Okay.
Yes, baby.
Okay. I don't know what that sign is though. What the August one is? What's the August sign?
Leo.
Leo. Oh, you got that Leo energy. Okay. Okay. The
Yes.
rara. Okay. 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 We hear you. We hear you. Cool. And if you were, let's say the plane. You were on a plane. Like I was a couple of days ago, and you were flying. To a destination, but the plane said they had to make an emergency stop. What country would you want that plane to make an emergency stop at?
Greece.
Ooh, in the Europes. Okay, Greece. Is it which part of Greece would you want to go to? Because there's a few different
I
places
would
out
want
there,
to
right?
go to Santorini.
By yourself or with somebody else? 'Cause that's Bayland.
Exactly. I just want to be there with the water and just have a romantic time.
Okay, okay. I hear you. I hear you. Santorini's got those nice white walls. Blue seas. It's a very kind of a very kind of I would say a romantic kind of feel there. So okay, I'm with you.
I'm
hmm
very romantic.
You're very romantic.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question. What's the most romantic thing you've done for someone? I'm guessing a man, obviously, but obviously, what's the most romantic thing you've done for someone?
Um, I think book a cruise with a massage and a chef, like a day out on the water.
Ooh, okay,
hmm
okay. And what would
Yeah.
you say is the most romantic thing someone's done for you then?
Oh, probably private jet to the opening of the Cove Hotel.
Ooh,
And I had my own butler and like a suite. Yeah, it was
yeah,
very
you see that?
romantic.
That's financially priced me out. So I can't do that for you, Sharice. I'm gonna have to leave that for the big boy players. Okay,
Small
cool. I
things
think
are romantic. Picnics with wine and champagne. That's romantic.
that's romantic too. So we can do,
Small things.
but people be saying that. Women be saying that, and then when it comes about, you're in a group chat getting discussed. So you sure that can work, Sharice?
It could work. I think anything is generous, right? It's the thought that counts.
Okay,
It's the
all
thought
right.
that counts.
All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. I can work with you. All right. I think human verification has been passed, and we believe you to be a human being, so that's okay. And I think we can safely say you are a human being. Actually, I got one last question which I always ask: cereal or the milk in the bowl first? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you there. Go for it. Oh, your mic muted. Go again.
You got it? Okay, cereal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Cereal, the cereal, and then the milk, and I put ice in my cereal.
Okay. I've heard this before. What does that do for you? The ice in the
I don't
cereal.
like warm cereal. I like it to be a little cold. And then
Hey.
also I don't really like milk. So I like almond and I still like to break it down.
Okay. So you basically like your breakfast, your cereal ice cold
Ice
with a
cold.
crunch.
With a crunch.
With a crunch. Okay. Because you're the only one. I've seen this before. I've seen people say this before. So this is a new one for me. I ain't about to put ice cubes in my cereal, but you know what? I ain't mad at it.
You
So
should try
I can
it.
rock with
It's
it.
good.
You know what? Maybe I can try it before the end of the year. I'm not making no promises, but I'm gonna see what I can do. But the ice in the cereal, I mean, if people are looking at me weird for putting milk in before the cereal, I'm looking at people weird when they put ice in the cereal.
Why
I'm
do
just
you
imagining you just going, it's going
Okay, so why are you
into the
putting the milk first? Why? Why are
why?
you putting the milk first?
Because sometimes I just like to hear the cereal pour into the milk as it's going in. It's just hearing that splash, you know.
Oh,
And I
okay.
eat quick as crunch quick. You know what I mean?
I see.
You see
I
it,
like it.
visionary. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna try the ice thing. I'm gonna try the ice thing. But I think we've passed the human verification. You are done. We know you're a human being, and we appreciate you, Shareese. Let's get into some conversation. But first and foremost, we're gonna get to know you a bit better. But if you're new to the channel, guys, this is my name is LITTLEBLACKBOOK91. We do a whole host of things on this channel. One of the things we do best is interviewing some of the cast from Ready to Love as well. And so I have in front of me Shareese from the latest episode of Ready to Love Miami. So if you're just tuned in, keep it cute in the chat because my moderators will block you if you are rude and you're being disrespectful. Okay, and that includes to my guest Shareese as well. Keep it cute, or she will be out as well. All right, cool. Shareese, question here to you. First question is, who is Shareese and what is Shareese's story?
I am, I'm a lot of things. I have many different
Ooh.
roles, but I would say that I am a entrepreneur. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a career esthetician. So I've been in my career for 20 years and I've been extremely invested in it. I think it's a passion and I love what I do. So it doesn't feel like work. It's just become a part of my life and who I am. And I build a life here for myself in Miami. I'm not from here. I'm born and raised from North. So my family, my dad was born in Baltimore. My mom's born in North Carolina. So I have the Southern and the city roots. And I'm 44, never been married, no kids, happily single. I have a dog named Lola. Um, I'm a daughter, I'm a leader, I'm a friend. What else? Um, I don't know. I'm a lot of
That's cool.
things.
That's cool. I like that. I like
I
that. So,
started my own company. I
oh,
started my own skincare line. I always had problem skin. So I think that was one of the reasons why I created it like 7 years ago. Mhm.
what was the name of the company called?
It's called Logan Skincare.
Ooh,
Mhm.
okay, all
That's my
right.
little
And
passion.
okay, so it's your passion. Okay, so for you, the let's talk a little bit about your business. 'Cause I think that's inspirational. I think that's good to hear about as well. And I'm
Mhm.
always intrigued by people that are able to build their own companies as well. So you said obviously you had bad skin when you were younger, and that kind of inspired the kind of
Yes.
the line. Okay,
Yes.
so tell us a bit more about the business that you built then.
Well, first of all, I thought I would be a lawyer. So I went to business
Oh,
school. I did all the business things. I loved business school. I loved the law part of it too. Like I always wanted to be a lawyer. That was my dream. And then I discovered when I was younger, I would always start all these different beauty companies. Like I did nails, I did hair. And when I was 13, I developed acne. I started going to dermatologists. They never fixed it. I went to a Russian esthetician because back then there was no Black estheticians. Like you went and got your skin done. That just wasn't something that we did, like facials, you know? So I went to her. She gave me all these products and she taught me how to take care of my skin. And I fell in love with it. It became a passion. So I said, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to learn skincare. And then one day I'm going to create my own skincare line because everything that I tried to use, it never worked. So I got my license. I became an esthetician. I never looked back. I moved to Miami, started working for a plastic surgeon. I did that for like 5 years. I started running a spa, and then I opened my own spa. And I started practicing on my clients, and I learned what was people's needs for skincare. And once I learned everyone's needs, I got with a chemist and I developed my own skincare line. And all my clients use it. It's not in national, it's not sold like internationally, but it's available online.
I love that. I love that. And because our skin, anything to do with our facial features is such a powerful thing, and it can really transform not only the person physically, but emotionally as well, in terms of even having confidence. What did it mean for you to be able to transform your skin then, when you had the power to? What did that do for Shareese then for you at the time?
Oh, it meant a lot. I was like, I got to help other people. Once I discovered that, hey, I can really fix this, because you don't really learn a lot about skincare or how to take care of your skin. A lot of the clients that I have, it's the education that I give them. Like, people are helpless sometimes. You go to the drugstore, if you have a breakout, a lot of people don't know it's about education, really. I didn't know the importance of it. And I feel like it's an industry that has grown so much. And I'm proud to say that I'm one of the pioneers. Like, I'm one of the ones that have inspired other Black estheticians to make this a career, because I didn't think that it was something that would be lucrative. I wanted to be a big time lawyer. So, but
So,
I'm glad I chose this, because also I get to help people.
I was going
Yeah.
to say, so obviously you had a passion for this, obviously, because like I said, you've personally been through it. But then obviously, it sounds like you were also killing law as well. So haven't did you have to choose between the two in the end? Did you have to choose between the two kind of lanes to go down, and what pushed you to go down one lane more than the other?
I think it was, I realized that I started working at a law firm. And I realized that it was going to be a lot of work and a lot of stress, and that I was a woman. And I didn't really feel like I wanted to work around men all the time. I just didn't want that energy, being an attractive woman. And I didn't want to always be on defense, or just have this. I just saw how it was in that industry. And I said, no, I'd rather just go along with something that I'm not going to be stressed out about. If I have to do it for the rest of my life, I want to enjoy it.
I love the fact you said obviously you didn't want to feel that stress, having to work around men all the time. Take us into that world a little bit more in terms of you navigating that space, because becoming a lawyer is not easy. So take us
Yeah.
into that space a little bit more in terms of your experience.
Well, it's a male dominating field. Well, back then, 20 years ago, right? I'm 44. So when I was considering it, it was very male dominating. And I saw that at an early age, because, like I said, I was a future business student of America. So as a teenager, I worked at all these office environments. So I got the experience early on. And I said, it's sexual harassment. There's all kind of things you have to put up with when you're working in a male dominated environment, and I just wasn't willing to do that. I said,
Do you
I'll marry a lawyer, and then he can come home and I'll listen. I'll help him solve the cases from home.
so you want it to be more soft life, as they
Soft
say,
life.
soft life. Huh, I
Yes.
mean that's fair as well. I mean, but interesting because obviously like you had the business aspect and also then the law side of things.
Yes.
Then obviously going through the field in terms, like you said, going through at your time as well, like you said, having to navigate the field of men and how the realities of life can really hit home at that point where you're going to be fighting on more than one front, which is you're fighting in the courtroom, but also you're fighting with, I don't say fighting, but you're having to defend yourself consistently as well too, in terms of being a woman in that space as well. How much did that impact you as a woman though? I'd love to understand that perspective for you as well.
I think that has been all my life. When I was growing up, I feel like I was my mom's only child. So I was the youngest in the family for a long time.
Oh.
So I was very mature, so I did have to deal with that male energy back then, and I was very guarded growing up because, my family, everyone was aware that, hey, at some point I looked like a grown woman going to school. But I just, I was very mature. I was just very mature. And so I got hit on by older guys. I got hit on, one time a school teacher. So, it's been a few inappropriate things. for sure. And all of it is based on looks, and I hate that. I hate that.
And when you say you hate that, some people will be like, "Wait, what do you mean you hate that? Why do you hate that?"
Like just the attention that you get based on looks. I would much rather for a person to judge my character than my looks.
That's fair. I totally understand that as well. That's absolutely fair as well. So obviously, then kind of continuing that kind of thought process, as you said, you grew up, you're your mum's youngest child as well. What was
Her only child.
her only child? Okay, apologies as well. So as your mum's only child, growing up in a household, what was that like growing up in that particular space? Was it just your mum and yourself, or did you got your dad as well?
No,
Like, what was it like?
I come from a big family. So my mom has two sisters and four brothers. So it was always me, my cousins, and my family. I grew up around my family. I grew up in a loving environment. You know, I think that because I was my mom's only child, all my cousins kind of took me in as their sister as well. So I was protected and loved. Yeah. And my cousins I feel like my family, they kind of look up to me. They look to me and they look up to me. So
How would you describe your relationship then as a young girl then with your mum, because your mum's only child? So how would you describe your relationship at a time when you were younger?
I think that my mom spoiled me for sure. I think growing up with my mom for sure. But she did teach me that, not everyone is going to be like I am, and not to go out into the world, thinking that because I'm giving you your way, you're going to get your way all the time. My mom does not take my side just because she doesn't think that I'm right. She's taught me right from wrong, is what I'll say. She's not the type to take my side. If I'm wrong, she lets me know that I'm wrong. Yeah. So growing up, I tried to make a lot of friends. I will say that.
What other key lessons you can give us, one or two? What other key lessons did you learn from your mum in terms of that you
I
feel that
learned
you
from
use
my
now?
mom how to be my own person. I feel like my mom always let me make decisions on my own, and she trusted me and she taught me right from wrong, and then she just allowed me to grow up and be my own person. I can remember my mom telling me things like, no matter what you become in life, if it's a trash person, I'll always love you. You'll always be my daughter and I'll always love you. So I think my mom is a very non-judgmental, down-to-earth person. My mom was she's very humble and she's very real. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. I think I do get my strength from my mom, because she's been through a lot and she's the middle child. So she's the one who has kept the family together. My mom is a strong woman, but she's also a loving woman. And she's been my cheerleader, really. She's always pushed me to just do whatever it is that I want to do and live my life on my terms. And as far as men, she always taught me that don't try to change them. Don't try to change a man, and accept them for who they are. Not everybody's going to be perfect.
Do you feel like you always listened to that piece of advice when you were younger, or that's something that you had to learn on your own as well to accept
I
that
had
truth?
to learn, we all had to learn to listen. I think my grandmother, who's no longer alive, I learned a lot from her as
Condolences.
well. Yeah.
So you said obviously your grandma, you learned a lot from her. What were some of the lessons that grandma? Because grandmas be coming with that good
Oh,
cooking when it comes to advice. What's the stuff
cooking,
that
you
she was
can only
cooking?
imagine. Well, my grandmother, first of all, my grandmother was married at the age of 18.
Wow,
And by the time she was 26, she had six children,
wow.
So, and my grandmother is one of 12, and then she had six children. So, and she's the oldest. So she raised 12 children of her mom's and her six children. So you can only imagine what I've learned. But she, but she's very strong. She was a very strong woman, very independent. I got my sense of having my own from her, even though she was married and her marriage didn't work out. I think a big part of that is why I don't force things to work out in a relationship, because my grandmother always taught me that if things don't work, just move on.
Mm.
And my grandmother, she divorced her husband in a time when women did not get a divorce. They just
Yeah.
got beat up. They got, they took abuse. They took mental and physical abuse. And, my grandmother was a part of that. And I'm just very proud of her for her story is so courageous to me now to see someone be
Mm.
able to make it and take 6 children. And I commend my mom and her brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Wow, that's a big family as well,
Yeah.
in that way as well. So it's a lot of family members around you who can support you and can be around you. You know, I get that. That's powerful. And so okay, so then obviously for yourself, then we talk about your mum and your kind of relationship, how your mum and your grandma. So clearly they're strong and they've been involved. Tell us a little bit about the relationship you had with your father when you were younger as well, because we saw your father come on the show, so and we saw that moment. But we want to know what was in your honest kind of sentiment. What was the relationship like with your father when you were younger?
My relation. So first of all, my relationship with my dad when I was younger was not the best, but he worked on it. And it's because of his own personal struggles. So my dad had his own personal struggles. And I know that it was his disease that kept him away from me. So my dad wasn't around a lot because he had a disease, an addiction. And so, but once he got his life together, which is why I have so much respect for him, because he did a complete 360 and got his life together. He was a part of my life, and he has always been a part of my life since. He's always tried to make up for it. Growing up, he was always there throughout elementary, middle, high school. Everyone knows my dad. My mom and dad had a very, their relationship I keep separate. I believe that my parents love me, and I think they made me in love. But what happened to their relationship has nothing to do with me. And I'm at the age now where I can look at their relationship and I can separate my relationship with my mom from my relationship with my dad. And that allows me to love my dad, forgive him, respect him, and move on so that I don't have issues. So, I feel like my dad, when I got to that point where I started feeling like, okay, this type of relationship could cause daddy issues, we nipped it in the bud. And I'm thankful for that. Yeah, my dad, like, because a lot of people, they don't get to confront their parents. Some
Mm.
parents are just not open to that, or you hear about people that they have to write a letter. My dad was really open to hearing my side of the story. So,
What was your side of the story?
well, I'm not going to get into all of that, but let's just say that my dad was not no angel, and I think I said
Mm.
it. I said he was a player, and he wasn't an angel, but that does not mean that it has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Like I can't, just because he was like that, it doesn't mean that I have to have that same experience
That's fair.
or that I should.
Mm.
I just feel like it was so long ago and I'm over it. Like if I had the energy to still talk about it, like if it gave me that same feeling, but it doesn't, because it doesn't affect me anymore.
Hmm. Okay. So like I always tell my audience, I grew up with my dad. I grew up with my mum.
Mm,
Um, but I'm very similar to my dad. You know, um, when I want to say something, I can be an authoritarian. I'm firstborn. I listen very well because that's what he does very well too. We give great wisdom and great advice. We teach. We're teachers.
right.
But he never had a dad, so he was learning on the job, right? So he
That's
was learning on the job, okay? And so the parts that he couldn't give me were the emotional aspects. So not that
hmm
he wasn't there, he was there. I remember one time, I always remember this moment where I got into an altercation with one young man in the like a downstairs playground where we lived, and these gang of boys were trying to beat me up. And I remember he said, "Who were those boys?" He came down with me, and I said, "Dad, leave it alone, because these boys they're not like just normal boys. These are gang, like they're gang. Like it's no point. Like I don't need to see anything happen." He said, "Nah, I'm gonna handle it." And got down there, and I remember these gang boys were like, his older brothers even. And I remember they swung a scooter at me, ducked it, and he said, and I remember I was looking at him, I was like, yo, like, I really appreciate the fact my dad would actually, I don't want him to be here. I'm not that kind of kid. I don't want him to be there. I didn't want him to be there, part of the situation. So when it came to physical protection, my dad would die. You know what I mean? He would die for you. I truly believe that, because I've seen it. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't get everything right, but he would do that. But the emotional aspect where he was closed off because he never knew how to open up that part, because no one had ever done that for him, is where I suffered. And I still suffer today. I'm 31, but I still suffer to today. I'm having to undo a lot of the work that inadvertently, because he didn't have that in his life, by not being able to show that to me, I've been affected. Like, it's like even up to today. So when I deal with people, I can have emotional shutdowns. Sometimes I can be like, very direct and straight. Sometimes I can miss some people's particular feelings and certain things. Even though I believe I'm very much an empath and I can deal with emotions and everything very clearly, I'm still affected to this day. You know what I mean? So my thing is, the relationship where there is parts that are missing for you, how did it affect you then? So you don't have to tell us a story of what happened, but how did it affect Shareese as a young girl?
Well, I think I probably went after men who weren't available emotionally. Those were probably the kind of relationships that I had. The reason why I say I don't suffer is because you can't suffer if someone can't give you something that they don't know how to give you. So, like you just said, your father's father never taught him how to be vulnerable, right? So I feel the same way. My dad can't give me something that was never given to him. So why should I expect that from him? I'm okay with that.
Are you okay with that? Because I'm not okay with it.
I am okay, because I feel like, I've identified the relationships that I have drawn to myself just so I can learn the lesson in it. And you can't keep carrying around, as an adult, at some point, you just don't have those type of parental issues anymore once you resolve them and once you admit them. They can no longer affect you, So I can't, yes, my dad is not the most emotional person. Yes, I probably don't see him that much. I don't see my dad. I talk to him on the phone, but do I see him all the time? No. Do I see my mom all the time? Yes. In the past, how has that affected me? I may have dated men who weren't as available. But as an adult, I can't allow that to shape my experiences. I know what I want. So if you have a bad experience, you take something and you make something good out of it.
So how do you make something good out of it if you never had it yourself either?
But how do you know I never had it? How do you know I haven't attracted those more softer or, emotional connections? How do you know I haven't?
Oh, I'm not saying you haven't.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
have.
not saying you haven't.
I've
I'm not saying you haven't at all. I'm saying, how do you know?
Even my dad compliments my growth, right? So how can I be upset with him for me having the courage not to, to take accountability? It's no more blaming once you become adult. You can't just keep blaming people for your experiences. Now, all the experiences I have are my choice.
Yeah, so that's why the question is,
can't tell me to date a guy, Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, I was gonna say that's what I was asking. That's what I've said. It's not about blame. I've never mentioned about blame. I'm not. This is not about blame. It's about reasoning. I think people miss this. You're not the only person who does that. I talk about this on the channel all the time. We're not talking about blame. We're talking about reasoning. The reasoning is the WHY. It's why do I do what I do? And I'm saying that for me, even to this point in day, I'm still affected by what he has not been able to give to me. That doesn't mean he has to be blamed. I can reason as to why I'm in the position I'm in right now. So like if I'm dealing with someone and I'm dealing in relationships, I always tell people this: if I was gone ready to love, I know part of me, see how Mike is moving, I'll probably move worse than Mike because I have a part of me that's guarded. So if I feel like I'm going to be played, I'm going to play the game. You're going to see a
Okay.
completely different side to Kojo. This openness. I don't like being hurt. So you're going to see a completely different side to me because I know that's what's in me because of what I wasn't taught or wasn't given. So it's not about blaming my dad. I'm not saying you have to blame your dad. What I'm saying is when now you see that you never received this thing, how does it affect Shareese? Because it's still
But I
affecting you
did
till to this
receive
day. Is it?
affection and
Yeah.
I did receive
Oh,
love.
okay.
I may have not gotten it the way that I wanted it, but I did receive love and affection. I mean, I know with all my heart and soul that I'm loved by my parents, especially my dad.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that now everything that I do is I'm responsible for who I am. 100%. I know who I am. I've had enough life experiences. I've learned a little bit. I take accountability. Just like my dad saying, "Hey, she can be a little difficult." That's because I challenge myself. So,
Why did okay, so like in that moment, we all saw your face change in that moment.
mhm.
Why did it change for you in that moment then? Give us a bit of insight into that.
Because I said to my dad that I wanted him to find out some serious questions. Because if you notice, Samson wasn't really saying, and I said I wanted to see if he was paying attention to me. I wanted Samson to say some things that showed me that he was paying attention to me, not just about my family or my dog and just things that anyone would know. Maybe something like I like her personality or I like when I don't know. I just wanted him to say, and then, my dad, I felt like he was taking it easy on him. But see, my dad is the type of person that he's always got a strategy. He has his own way of doing things. And he's a salesperson, right? So he's not going to show any emotion. By nature, he's that way. He's not going to show any emotion. And my dad is very laid back. And, as a man, he wasn't going to be confrontational with Samson. My dad is not confrontational. So I think my frustration just came from I was already frustrated before I got there. And then just the way that it was going, I was just like, here we go again. I'm not really getting anywhere with Samson.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But then, if you notice at the end, my dad was like, well, remember I said caution,
Yeah.
proceed with caution. And then when Samson was like, he said, yeah, I was a yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And then I had the girls, behind the couch.
Search. Yeah.
My dad is old school. So,
Mm.
but,
So yeah.
everybody
Sorry.
can't. It may take more than one person sometimes to talk to your person to see how you are, or maybe if my mom would have been there, it would have been a little different, but it's fine.
So okay, so let me be honest and truthful then. I feel like you have a guard up. I feel like on the show that's what we saw. So it
Okay.
may be different. So you can give us a bit of understanding. So that's my key here is to get understanding, not about whether you're right or wrong, to get an understanding of behavior. What
Okay.
we saw on the show was a defensive Shareese. We saw someone who can at points in times get confrontational with both men and with women.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to figure out where that comes from
Well, did
because
it
it seems
come
like you're
from,
fiercely loyal. Yeah,
was I doing this for no reason, or was I reacting to someone else's behavior?
that's what I want
So
to know.
you
That's what we want
can't
to know.
say, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I'm human, right? I have to have some type of reaction. Or did you want me to
Hmm.
just sit there and just, okay, I'm fake. You're right. I'm fake. Okay. You're right. Like, what was I supposed to do? Was I not supposed to defend myself?
Why did you feel? Okay, Dominica's situation wasn't defense. That wasn't a defense. You got her twice. It wasn't a defense. Why do you? Because you're interpreting. I want to find out your
Well, how was
interpretation.
Dominica's situation defensive when I didn't even know Dominica's name like that. Like, I didn't even know this woman. We're at a mixer. We're at a party where no one knows anyone. It's not like I was talking about a friend of mine. And I happen to really, really like Dominica's personality. What you didn't see was we had a few conversations earlier that day at the mixer.
Okay.
And she was loud in my ear. And, it was not really, it was the end of the night. We were talking about who's going to go home. And it's not like I said it about the person that I came to the party with.
Mm.
It wasn't defensive. It was just the end of the night, and it just so happened that I was mic'd.
So let me explain what I mean by defensive. I often
Okay.
use the word defensive in the terms of the fact that people who tend to go for the jugular, tell complete truths without really giving it a loving way, who can just say how they feel. Oftentimes, it's a defensive position, meaning that they've lacked some protection in a particular
Mm-hmm.
area of their life, and how they interpret is that they actually go on the offensive in order to be protective. In sports, we say the best offense is the best defense is being offensive.
Uh-huh.
So that's why when I say about being defensive, what I mean about that is in that aspect that I'm gonna get you before you get me kind of energy. It's defensive. It's not attacking. It's more defensive. That's what I'm kind of saying that. So I think what I'm trying to get to a point with you is understanding, because you said that you're not really you're not affected anymore by things that have happened to you as a young individual, but what we're seeing on the screen doesn't correlate to what you're saying, or at least to me. Let me say specifically me, doesn't
Okay.
correlate. Something's not making sense because you've reacted in several occasions on the show. So I'm trying to understand, and maybe I'm being a bit more pushy to try
Mm-hmm.
and get that understanding so we can fully understand it, because the show will present you in only one way, which is this is the end. It will just show you the branches. I want the roots. So I'm trying to get deeper with you and say it's not about blaming anybody. But
Okay.
when you look at it, where is that coming? What hasn't happened to you? What hasn't happened to you? Or should I say, what has happened to you to have that kind of guard up? And you kind of mentioned a little bit. You were younger, people are hitting on you, but there are other things that you're.
I
I
mean,
feel like
of
there's stuff there.
course, who hasn't been through a lot? When I was growing up, for sure, there was bullying. There's a lot of things that I've been through, but
Mm,
I don't think that any of that has an effect on the person that I am. I think that the character that you see on Ready to Love is someone who responded to my environment. I
okay.
responded to the people and the situations the way that they came to me.
Mm,
Um, I didn't feel like I was defensive at all.
mm,
Half of the things that happen, you're on a dating show, you're supposed to be having conversations, and they should not end in arguments, and they should not
mm,
end with you. I should never had been on a dating show and you telling me now that you felt like I was being defensive. I didn't sign up to fight. I didn't
mm.
sign up to go to people's court. I mean, this is crazy. You're talking about me being defensive. I just don't, I'm not feeling that. Like, I did what I had to do. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm sorry. If you saw me as being defensive, I'm not a punk. I'm not going to, I don't know. I don't know.
I love.
Give me an
No, no.
example.
You're there.
Defensive because, and yes, I am guarded. Like, who shouldn't be guarded? I know that what's in my heart is precious. Like, I know
Yeah.
who I am, I know my value. So I'm not going to take anything away from myself. Now, can I communicate better? Could I become a better communicator? Absolutely. But um you know you're going to have to give me another example of me being defensive.
Maybe I'm also using the wrong word because we might be having different interpretations of defensiveness.
Okay.
Let me say, uh, the the guard was up rather than being defensive. I think maybe that's the thing. Um,
Listen, I let
yeah,
my
go ahead.
guard down. I have a circle of people that are in my guard down circle. Like,
Hmm.
nobody can tell me when is the best time for me to let my guard down. I guard my
Okay.
heart, and that's how I have peace. You can have a
Mm.
lot of peace by guarding your heart. I have to guard what goes in my heart and what comes out of it.
And I would agree with you. I think that is quintessential in order to having peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a way we have to be able to control the valve that that's the door that's in front of our heart, so that we don't be affected by everything, right?
Yes.
But to what I'm hearing, and I
Hmm.
think, let me give my honest sentiment again. What I'm
Yes.
hearing is someone who has been through a lot, but you're similar to myself, which is people ask me this question. So when you look back some of the things you've been through, it's almost as if we downplay it, because it's like, well, I've got through it. I'm okay. I didn't die.
Right.
I'm alive. I've made the best of my situation. I'm winning. I'm smiling. I'm looking good. I'm smelling good. I got money. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's good on this side. But the reality is, I am affected by those things in the past, irrespective of where I am now. Even though that I may have things that show that I've grown, there are still certain things that have happened to me in the years previous that still affect me now. And so I'm saying to you that I can see why you would play past it and say it's the past, it's done, but it's showing up now in the way that the reason why I'm saying this, because in the environment, you said something really powerful. You said, I'm no punk. And you know what? You're not a punk. And I agree with you. You're not. You will defend yourself. You will hold your own. You'll make sure people know Shareese is Shareese. Don't play with me. But why are you that way? Because something's happened to you in the past. It has affected the way you think now. We all are that way. In some way, we are shaped.
I don't have a problem with who I am, though. I don't think, in my day-to-day life, I don't have these problems. Like, I don't know. I don't see that it has affected me. I mean, maybe on the show, if some things came out, if you're saying this is what you saw, maybe it was the environment, maybe it was, different situations. You can't control other people. Only thing I can control is myself.
It's you. Okay.
That's all I can control. And I've spent enough time by myself. I've spent enough time in therapy. I've spent enough time analyzing myself and my psyche and my situations and my dating history to know who I am, what I want, and what I do, and what my triggers are.
Okay, so great. So give us maybe some of your triggers on the show. What was contributing towards the triggers for you then on the show then? Because you said that's not your natural behavior. So what was happening to you at that point in time so we can understand you?
Well, you have to give me a scenario. I mean, first of all, the whole thing with Zoe, that was a whole altercation I would have never experienced that in real life, because I don't go out with men that yell and are not in control of their emotions or just rude like that. So that was one thing that I couldn't control, and I had to defend myself at some point by speaking back, and I did leave eventually when I saw it getting too heated. I don't know. I feel like with Samson, I you can see me. I opened my heart. I was definitely more emotional or vulnerable with him. I just, I was definitely, all the guys really have seen a different side of me. Like, I don't feel like I fought with everyone and I was defensive the whole time. But again, I think that that's a character, and it's just different situations, different scenarios.
Okay. So,
but there was no time. I'll tell you, okay, if you want to hear some reflection, okay. There was a time when I did see myself and I said, here I go, right? So I moved quickly in the past. So you can get hurt also by moving too quickly. I tend to go off of everything, I tend to just, this person is this person is that. That's what I did with Samson. So the first thing my dad said was, you said he went to Morehouse. He's never been married. He has no kids. He's a nice guy. He said, but you're getting too excited. You need to make sure that he is who he say he is. And, that's when I realized when I said Samson could possibly be the one, and I saw myself and I was like, here I go moving fast. Here I go trying to make somebody the one. So I feel like that's why I say I take accountability for the things and the situations that I get into.
Okay.
Some of it is me just moving too fast, or, not taking my time, or not really listening to my gut. And I feel like when I saw myself like that, for once, I'm happy that I took a step back instead of moving forward.
Okay. I respect that.
Because I do like to avoid confrontation. Actually, I've always been an avoider until I took therapy, and I realized that I can't avoid every confrontation. Sometimes I'm just going to have to speak up.
Mm. Okay. So in the past, for you, you was more of an avoid. You tended to skip away from the confrontation
And
and
just give
on this
up.
and give up.
Dismissive. Very dismissive.
And then on this occasion, did you feel the need to kind of put more boundaries up in place? Did you feel like
Well,
you
you
had
can
to?
where can you go? You're on a show interacting with people. You can't really go that far. The cameras are
Mm,
rolling. It's not that far you can go. And I just think that I'm one of those people that sometimes I may draw out these, different things in people. This confrontation with Zoe, I think it didn't really have anything to do with me at the end of the day. It wasn't about me. And it could have happened to any one of us. I mean, he was rude to Trinika as well. So
mm. So did you feel like it was that you needed to say something because no one else had really said anything?
to Zoe,
Yeah.
no, baby, you weren't paying attention. First of all, we had already been exchanging notes on Zoe. If you
Okay.
notice, Tommy had already talked to Zoe and he was a little pissed off about that. Remember? Tommy
Mm,
talked to Zoe and Justice and LJ. Who were we on a date with? Zoe, LJ, and Justice. So Zoe was only upset because he was fishy that something was going to happen. Zoe was the type of person that he only kept in contact with you on the week of elimination. So he thought I was being fake because we had that conversation at the white party. And then that was my first time seeing Zoe. And I called
mm,
him when he was up for elimination. And I was like, how you feeling? But Zoe was rude and disconnected from all of us. He was not really, and I sensed that. And he was just mad because it was his turn to get barbecued. And regardless if he heard me say that, it's still he was acting crazy. But all these guys
I
acted
agree.
crazy when it was time for them to get out of there and be barbecued. They all just showed their true colors. I guess that's hard. But it wasn't my place. It was only my place to find out, hey, listen, who are you connecting with? Because
Mm,
that's the way the show is. I mean, we go up for deliberations, the ladies, and we all talk about, well, how is it going with this person? How's it going with that person? So I mean, sometimes the conversations did start with, hey, who are you connecting with? Who are you here for?
if you're looking back at it, I mean, normally I say this to later, but we're already here, so frick it, let's go. Do you, looking back at that Zoe situation, do you see, do you look at the situation and think I could have handled things differently? And if you could, how would you have handled it now,
The
looking back
only
at it?
thing I could have done was left before I left. Perhaps when I saw, because I was already uncomfortable to start the pool game with him. Like he was
Mm,
already, we had taken the things off our head and we were still kind of sweating and it was just kind of like, go in there and everyone else separated. And I was just thinking, why do I have to talk to this walking, ticking time bomb right now? So I was really just trying to deflect it a little bit.
mm,
And he went off. It was like, you're fake. And then I was just thinking, where is this coming from? Because he had never talked to me like that before.
mm. Okay.
But everybody was having their side conversations, and I don't know. And like I said, it seemed like he had been talking to someone. I don't know. I just know that I don't like to argue with men because I think that abusive people, the first thing they say is that you made them do that. And that's not
That's fair.
true. You can't
That's fair.
say that I didn't make you react like that. And I was just trying to have a conversation with the man. He really
Mm,
just took it to a whole nother level. And it really did shock me. I was
mm,
disappointed and I was hurt. And after that, I tried to call Zoe because I'm like, you don't really want to go out like this. Like, don't do this. But he has some other things going on, you know.
mm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree with you.
It
I
is
think.
unfortunate. I hate that happened. But at the end of the day, these are real life situations. These
Mm,
are real, like, I mean, this could have happened in a real life situation. We're real people, it just so happened to be on camera. And I just hope that, I'm somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's grandmother, somebody's sister. It's just not cool.
mm-hmm,
It's not cool. And you're on a dating show, you're supposed to be acting like a gentleman. Like, come on.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think there's any room for anyone
And
to
he
get
didn't even say
abusive.
sorry to Trinika. Like, I was at least expecting for him to be like, let me calm down. I'm thinking it's a joke. I'm thinking he's got to be playing at some point. He's gonna, but he never did. And I just feel like, he
Did
didn't
he
do
have
that
any
with
altercations
Swayze.
with anyone else? Did Zoe have any the same way the occasion maybe? Did he have any
Yes, you should
altercation
have saw
with
his
anyone
date with
else?
April. His date with April was a mess. They didn't air the date that he had with April. They didn't show how she came and talked about how Zoe was. Zoe wasn't
Was
good
he
to any of us.
confrontational
He
or was he
didn't belong
rude?
there. Hmm?
Was he confrontational or was he dismissive of her? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, both. He was loud and dismissive, and I got to get to
Okay.
this Heat game right now. He wanted to wrap the date up.
So with that, but if he wants to wrap the date up, that's rude and dismissive. But was he being aggressive in that same manner? Because like, what I'm trying to get to a point of it is, and I'll be very frank, I think Zoe was out of line. I've called him out for his behavior. It never needs to happen, and it shouldn't happen. But you stayed, and you stayed for quite a bit in that altercation. I actually showed a clip. You actually had a pool stick in his face. Before you
Mhm.
said he had a pool stick in your face,
Well, it was
you
my
had a pool
turn
stick
to
in his.
play, and I turned around because he was telling me to go ahead and
Okay.
take your shot. So I turned around like, what? He's like, go ahead and play. So I turned around. But as soon as I could get out of there, I got out of there. I
Okay.
thought it was it took me by so much shock. I went from laughing to crying because I was just like, are you serious right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice, I laughed at one point, like, what? But,
Because I
again,
think
some people thought that was their own show and that, I don't know what type of underlying issues he has, but clearly it has nothing to do with me.
no, you're right, and that's why Zoe will have to answer for himself in terms of what happened in that situation. I'm asking, like watching it back, because I asked you what would you do
So how do
differently, but
I left, like you saw
yeah,
everybody come running over, right? But I did leave.
You didn't leave straight away, Shareese. You had a back and forth with him. You actually had a tussle with him verbally. You went
Right.
back and forth with him.
Okay. And then I left.
Yes.
Once I was like, okay, this is going the wrong way because he wouldn't calm down. It didn't change. It's turned into something else. And I left. I left when I left. I think I left exactly. I mean, I didn't have any other choice but to leave. And I'm glad I did
You
leave.
should.
I would have left before then. I shouldn't have listened to a word he had to say. But
But
I
why
really
did
thought
you?
he was
That's the question.
joking. I did.
That's what I'm trying to get to you.
Because it was uncomfortable. I did not know what to do in that
Okay.
situation. I really did not know what to do. But I did leave.
Mm-hmm.
I left.
Okay. That's a fair point. All right, cool. So let's not skip. Let me not skip too heavy. I just wanted because Zoe thing was quite a heavy thing. So again, I agree with your sentiment in terms of Zoe being. First of all, I didn't like the fact that he. Let me just say this as well. I didn't like the fact of what he did with the Trinika situation. That was well out of line. It was well out of line for doing what he did. The situation where he didn't apologize to Trinika. I think that was outrageous, especially if you bump someone from behind. She got a hand hurt and as well, a lack of awareness in that aspect. I didn't like the fact that he spoke the way he spoke to you. I didn't like the fact he was getting aggressive. I didn't like the fact he was raising his tone of voice. I don't like the fact he was shouting. I don't like those things at all. And I already said it was given off very much, very much close to abusive vibes in that situation, the way he was going about the situation. But then I asked, it's like almost as if he was reacting to you specifically, because I asked, has he done that to anyone else? But the April situation, he didn't do that. He was rude and dismissive. That's different. But in this case, he wasn't rude and dismissive. He was aggressive. And I'm saying to you, because you are in several instances of arguments. So this is not your first argument, Shareese. So I'm trying to get you to give us a bit more perspective in terms of if you're in several situations where you were kind of rude to Shakira, if I said it right, Shakira as well. You kind of dismissed her. You said, listen, go talk to someone else, whatever, when you came over. It might have been a joke, I don't know, but the way it was said. Similar enough, you had a confrontation with Kayla as well. That went back and forth between yourself and her. You then had, obviously, some with Caden. You've had a back and forth with Caden, back and forth as well. You had some with Mike. You had some with Zoe. You've got some with Samson. We're on 6 people. Eventually, someone's got to say, at what point, Shareese, do you say that at this point, it's not that you are trying to avoid confrontation, but you're actually in it and you're part of the problem. That's what I'm trying to get to. Do you
Okay.
see where what we can be seen as an audience, why we may be feeling that it's
You're
not as
entitled
clear
to your
cut?
opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Listen, if that's the way you choose to see it, you and I could read a book and your interpretation will be this and my interpretation will be this, because you just said that I had an altercation with 6 people and it does not mean anything to me. All it means is that whatever happened with me and those 6 people on the show is what happened. That's it. I don't look at it like I had a confrontation with 6 people. I look at it like that's a part of relationships. Nothing's going to be perfect. You're going to get
So
into this. I mean, I don't know what to say.
okay, so let me reverse the question. Before you came on my show, what was your perspective of me?
That you're very opinionated. You're very opinionated and you analyze people. I'm not really sure what your degree is in, but you're
It's
very,
not in that.
yeah, you're very, you analyze people's behaviors and, you're opinionated about people's lives. I get that.
Hmm.
But sometimes your opinion could be wrong. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know what you want me to say. You want me to say I have a problem and I got into it with 6 people?
I'm saying how many before it becomes a pattern? How many would you go for? How many would okay, for instance, if I'm a man
But it's not a
and you meet
pattern.
me,
Like even those things that you saw, the clips, the 4 minute altercations that you saw,
yeah.
Kayla and I love each other to death. Like, so what does it mean? Nothing. Like we had an altercation, we got past it.
I know you got past it, but it happened. So what I'm saying to you is imagine me
So
now,
take
if I'm a man,
accountability. It happened. So what do you want me to do about it now?
what I think first and foremost would be acknowledge actually what's that you're a contributing factor to some of these issues. So what I'm saying to you, for instance, right? If I'm a man and I'm moving to you, Shareese, let's say I
Mm-hmm,
like you, I'm invested in you, and I
mm-hmm,
tell you about my history.
mm-hmm.
Every girl I've had 6 girlfriends, and each and
First of
every
all,
single one of
I'm
them.
not going to want to hear about your history. I'm not that type of
Ooh,
dating person. I do
why
not want to
not?
hear about your dating history. It has
Why
nothing
not?
to do with me because I don't care. I really don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Like I don't. It's none of my business. If you're over it and it is not affecting you anymore, what do I need to know about your dating past for? What business is it of mine?
Ah,
If you want
okay.
to
Would you?
share with me something, hey, you know what? My ex taught me this, or I learned this, or I learned that. But if I'm trying to build a future with you, that's just the way I operate. I don't know. That's just the way
Would
I see life.
would you be okay if I was asking you questions about your past history in terms of relationship dating? Would you be open to share that if I was trying to date you?
If you, I would want to know what do you want to know for? Because here's the thing: you can't sit up there and people try to use your past against you. You can't. You tell a person all of these things about you from your past, and they're just going to turn around and they're going to use it. And my past is in my past. I have no use for that. So if I'm trying to build something with someone, what am I talking about my past for? I'm over that. We're done. That's just my dating style. If you're not over it, keep talking about the person. Keep on, bring them to your new date. But me personally, if I go on a date and I'm with a guy and he's talking to me about his ex, it's a turn off.
Okay. So I mean, I'm not saying on a first date, by the way. I mean, I wouldn't do that to you, Sharice.
Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you on the first date. Okay, baby, I wouldn't do that to you. I would like to get to know you.
Thank
I'm saying that in the sense of as I'm getting to know you over time, I would want to know about the past
you.
because first and foremost, you're in business. When you went into the beauty business, as we both know, I studied business. That's what my degree's in. You
Mm-hmm.
actually look at the trends of the past when you make a decision in the future. So you actually have to consider past information to see patterns of what? Consumerism. The same thing happens in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You look at past events of that person to get an idea of what they are presently. Now, I'm agreeing with you. Your
Mm-hmm.
past isn't holding you. So if it's not holding you and you're past it and you've grown past it, why can't you share that since you've gone past it? it shouldn't be an issue because you've gone past it. If you've gone past that
Share what?
past and it no longer
Share
affects
what?
you,
Share what? That I've been in a what? Share what? What would you like to know? Like, of
aspects of
course, I'll share aspects
past,
of my life, of my past.
like we're talking
Of
about
course.
relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I asked you, you said, why would I be asking that? And I'm saying, well, we ask those questions about people's past to get an understanding of who they are now.
Of course. But to
Yeah.
analyze every single person that I will say this: in my 20s, I was in love. Okay,
Okay.
in my 30s, I was in love. Those two guys I loved a lot. Okay, those were like I was in love for real. Okay. After that, all my dating experiences were learning experiences. Did I attract some things so I could learn some things? Absolutely. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did I learn something about myself? Yes. But I feel like who I am as a person and how I deal with people is different from my dating style. So
Okay.
you can't say like I got into it with a woman or with a man. Listen, people have misunderstandings all the time. And I think that, more so than anything, it was a lot of misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
And people get misunderstood.
Do you feel like as a reviewer, I misunderstood you
I think you
with my
misunderstood
reviews?
me. I think that
Okay.
it's definitely true. Like I feel like I take a lot of pride in who I am and I take a lot of accountability because you can't go around claiming being a victim. At some point you
Okay.
have to speak from a place or try to be in a place that you have evolved and grown past. And I think that everyone deals with their trauma and their, hurts differently. I think that I definitely have been hurt before, but my heart is still open. I never close my heart because you can get hurt and still keep your heart open.
Mm-hmm.
And I have become a lot more self-aware. I do take accountability for the things that I do. I do go back and apologize to people. Shakira, we love each other. We text, we talk, we hashed it out. Dominica, like Mike. The only person that I really don't have any type of understanding with is Zoe, and I don't care to. Even though Katie and I don't get along, I don't wish her any harm. Do I think that the relationship is at its limits? Yes. But,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a mean-spirited person. It's just but my dating style is definitely different. When I'm comfortable and I do have relationships where people know my whole heart, they know my whole book. They know my past, they know what I've been through. But do I go around sharing what I've been through with everyone? No, because that's my truth and I don't have to.
Okay. So okay, so can you help me understand you then, Shareese? Because
Yeah,
I brought
sure.
you on,
What
I brought
else
you
do you
onto
want to
here
know? What else
to
you want to know?
understand. So you talked about your love, the love that dating in the past,
Mhm.
right?
What
So
brought me to Ready to
okay,
Love, right?
well before you even got to Ready to Love, you were dating, right? As
Mhm.
a youngster, you said that you say dated some people that were emotionally unavailable and stuff like that. So okay, your first love. Talk to us about your first person you fell in love with. You was like, you know what, I love you. You know what I mean? Talk to me about that then.
Um, what about it? It was it was great. I learned a lot. It was a loving relationship. We didn't, we saw each other according to the work schedule that he had, and it was a loving experience. It was definitely some cheating there, a lot of cheating. And I think I did get cheated on. And I think that's where the trust breaks once you get cheated on. And so that's when you learn how not to trust people.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't take that one experience and just say you can't trust everyone. So you have to get over that, I feel like. And I think I did. But yeah, that was very hurtful. And then I had another situation where it was hurtful. I got my heart broken because I thought that the person was being honest with me. So I've dealt with some liars.
Oosh. Okay. Sorry to hear that. That's not a
So
nice thing
I
to
do. I
experience.
tend to look for, because I used to just see all the good in people. And then you can't,
Mm.
and then I would get hurt like that, right? Because you let your guard down. So now I think I've learned to let my guard up and let people show me who they are. I don't go trying to pick or pry, but, I try to just let people show me who they are and then go from there. So I'm not disappointed.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's never a nice experience, you know. Um,
Mhm.
that's never a nice experience, you know, in those respects.
Yeah, it took a while to get over that. I will say it took a while. And I think that's why I also have learned, because I wasted time. I wasted time on my last relationship. And so now I don't waste time. It takes me a good 3 months to know if it's going to work or not.
Mm. So you've learned, like you said earlier on, you've learned to slow down and pause a little bit. Why do you think you were so quick to rush in the past then to get into a relationship or to find love in a sense? Why do you feel that was
I mean, why
happening to you?
not? Everybody wants to be loved.
Mm.
I think I like it when I'm in love. I like it when I like that energy of sharing space and companionship with someone, and, you know, having that male energy. It brings out another side in you. So
Mm.
I guess I just, I think I thought I would be married with kids when I was younger. I thought I played house and Barbie. I thought I would be a wife by now, but it didn't happen like that. So here
You
I
ain't the
am.
only one. You're not the only one, you know. And I always share this well, you know, with the audience. Well, they know me very well because I share quite a bit of my life with them and things that have happened to me in the past in terms of learns. I tell them about the fact, you know, when I was younger, you know, I got played. I got played, and you know what? I'm a person that loves hard. I'm very loyal. And I'm also what we class as what we call avoidant dismissive attachment style. So, though I can love very hard, I also can have the ability to switch off, also quite easily. So I can detach from people. So when I was younger, what would happen was that I could be in love, and when something hurts me, instantly I can detach from that person. And what I would do I would call it abusive because it's emotional abuse, to be silent treatment. Silent, I
Mhm.
can be silent treatment. I can go ghost for 3 or 4 days. You won't hear from me. No text, no calls. I could be passive aggressive, manipulative in the sense of like, you know what, I will just, you'll be talking to me and I'll be ignoring you, and then I'll be like, using things from the past and then bringing it all up at once. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I wasn't the perfect boyfriend. You know what I mean? As much as I look back and I'm like, I thought I was good, but I thought I was good. But when I look back at some of the behaviors, I'm like, yo, I mean, I would be calling myself out on a relation, ready to love if that was me. You know, because as much as I thought I was good, there were some areas of my behavior which were really mad as well. So yeah, when I got played and I got hurt in the past, and at the end of the day, back in the day, so in the it was tough to go through. But I realized again, there are things that have affected me in my younger days that have made me the way I am in terms of dating,
Mhm.
and in that way, so some things I had to take on, um, in terms of growth and healing. I don't know if
Yes,
that makes sense in a sense.
it does make
Yeah.
sense. It does make sense.
Mm.
Yeah, that happens to loyal people.
And I think you're one of those loyal people,
I am very
Shareese.
loyal. I am very
I
loyal.
can tell.
Anyone will tell you. I am
I
very
can
loyal
tell.
to the people I love.
I would want you in my corner.
That's right. I got your
Mm-hmm. You got my
back.
back. No, I appreciate that. Okay, so then what? Okay, so for you, like you said, we're all young. We all thought we were gonna be married, but I thought I was gonna be married by 24, to be honest. But shake that off. But then okay, so then what took you on to Ready to Love then? So like, what took you personally to Ready to Love?
I took a break from dating, and I mean, listen, I admit that I do not have the best luck when it comes to dating. Okay, I'll be honest with you. And I took a step back and I looked at my pattern and what am I attracting? And I did the therapy. And I got to know Shareese, and not just, I feel like when you are in a professional career, sometimes you focus on everyone else and not yourself. And I did take some time and analyze myself and take accountability. And I said I was ready to start dating again. And when I saw Ready to Love was coming, I was always a fan of the show. And I thought, it'll be some nice guy on this show that I can fall in love with, who's a professional, because it says 30 to 50 professionals in Miami. I'm like, I'm one of those professionals. Because when I go out in Miami, I'm like, I have reservations. I'm at an event. Like, I'm not one of those people that I do get approached by guys. I'm not going to say that, but it's not as easy to approach a woman who is already at a reservation, at a table, or with her group of people. So I think Miami is I'm just always in my comfort zone. Or my dating style is someone has to introduce me. Because I just think that people are crazy nowadays. Anyway. So I thought, well, these people are going to screen, these people will screen, this guy, and this could be good. If he's a professional, maybe they're going to find that professional pool that I have not found yet in Miami. So
it's tough out there in that dating pool. I can understand.
It is. Especially in Miami.
I can tell. when you obviously then got on the show, and you walk into that pool party. The pool party, is that the first time you guys see each other? I'm guessing the pool party is when you first see each other, right?
That's the first time we see each other, yes.
What was your first kind of,
reaction?
Yeah, reaction to seeing a few people who were there,
It was disappointing at first. It was just like, wow. I don't know. I guess I thought that they were going to find people I just thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to be different. And, it was just hard for me to hold conversations and keep my interest, to be honest with you.
Okay. And who did you say first caught your eye? Like, you got in there.
What?
Who first?
At one point, I said, okay, let me just. Samson had great conversation, but the one thing that he was doing is he always caught me like when I was eating, or like when I was trying to make a phone call. And then like Zoe caught me when I was eating, and I'm like, these guys just keep catching me at the wrong time. And then Sean, he was the one that took up a lot of my time. So he was the one that started the barbecue thing, because Swayze and Brandy heard me tell him, go sit down, because he was following me around the mixer. And it was just crazy. So then I said, well, you know what? I need to loosen up and at least try to have fun. Let me just try to loosen up. So that's when I went over there and sat with Devin in the jacuzzi. And then Katie was there and that whole thing. And I'm just like, here it is, another athlete with this baby mama crap. I'm just like, oh my God, this guy's from Philly, this guy's from DC. I'm like, I'm already from up north. I don't know. I just automatically, I started relating to them like not anything like wild. But then Samson, he was talking about God, and he was talking about traveling and education, and he was talking about the country. And I'm like, okay, Texas. I never dated a guy from Texas. So, and Southern guys are normally nice guys. I love Southern guys. Like, so Samson, I was like hoping to spend more time talking with him, but then we got pulled in direction. So I exchanged numbers with Samson, Devin, and Swayze. Swayze, I knew he would keep me entertained. He was just so funny. Swayze, I had to have his number because he was funny. And I remember him telling me he was a firefighter. And I was like, with them gold chains on, I'm like, what fire station are you at? But we're in Miami. So I didn't think he was a firefighter at all.
So Swayze also caught you a little bit, yeah?
Swayze, because of the muscles, his body. Swayze and Devin, of course, they had the hottest bodies, and then Mike. But Mike, I just kind of was scared of Mike. I'm like,
Why are you scared of Mike?
it was like I didn't know how the dialogue was gonna go. I was like,
What do you think? How do you think the dialogue was gonna go then, Shareese?
I just wasn't sure because he was real quiet. He sometimes he would be like, and I'm like, I don't want to mess with him.
Do you like him a bit more louder? Do you like it to men to be a bit more louder? Or
No, it wasn't louder, but like talk. Like he wasn't very talkative at all. That's what I said to him. I said, "This is the most I've heard you talk all night." Like it wasn't like he was the type that you'd be like, "Oh, let me go talk to him," because he was pretty much like he didn't really want to be bothered. And I remember one time we were waiting for something, and I think he like took a nap, and I was trying to talk to him again, and I was just like, "I'm gonna leave him alone. I don't think he wants to be bothered."
So you were catching him? So
and I was
catching you at a bad time.
"You sleepy? Is everything okay?"
So wait, you were catching him when he was trying to fall asleep as well. So people kind of catch you when you're eating. You're catching people when they're sleeping. What's going on?
It was crazy. I mean, listen, it was all day, and we just got thrown in there, man. It was one thing after another.
Okay. So Devin, Mike, Samson all had your eye, at least. They had your eye at first. And so you guys had obviously some conversations at that point. So at that point, and Swayze, sorry, as well. At that point then, after the first day, you guys have finished filming everything. Who's at the top of your trying to get to know list at that point?
Say it one more time.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that after the first day, you finished filming, you've had your conversations. Who at the end of the first day, Shareese, are you like, do you know what? They're in the lead. I want to get to know them more.
Samson and Swayze and Devin.
Okay, so those are your top three in that particular point. Okay, so let's take Devin, because it looked like you and Devin had a good connection. You defended him from Cadian. You literally saved him.
Yeah.
Okay, you literally put the Harry Potter cloak on him. He disappeared in front of Cadian. What was your thoughts in that situation? With Cadian, yourself, and Devin, because it looked like you really were, and I appreciate it. You defended Devin in that moment, at least covered him a little bit. What was your thoughts in regards to that?
I mean, I felt sorry for him because I could see that it was uncomfortable and it was a personal situation. You're on a show, that's something personal. He wasn't sure if he wanted to share that information with us yet. And I understood when he at first said, no, he didn't have a kid. Then he backtracked and he was like, well, I do, but it's a complicated situation. And, she just felt like, no. But I understood once he explained the situation and that the girl had more kids with other athletes. And I'm like, oh, okay, he pretty much got set up by a groupie or something, because I looked at it like, again, things happen. And I could tell that it was a situation that really bothered him. So I just felt like I wanted to be understanding, nobody's perfect. And I thought him being vulnerable and honest, he could have waited a week later or, 2 weeks to tell us. But the fact that he was able to be vulnerable, share the story, and correct it, I was okay with that.
So you wasn't at all moved by the fact that he had to correct his story, because Katie looked like she was pressed by it, but you didn't feel like you were.
I was not, because I understood, like, it's a complicated situation. You're just meeting a person. You don't know if you want to share that information right away. It's something that I'm sure he was thinking about that was going to come up. So, I mean, he corrected it. I understood. The fact that he even shared it, I thought was, again, that's vulnerability, because damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like he shared it and now people are calling him a deadbeat, but he's really not.
Okay, that's fair enough. No, I get that. So obviously you felt in that need, not even felt that need, but you were moved by his vulnerability to kind of, to draw closer to Devin as well. And then obviously came to your house gathering. He didn't bring a present. Shareese, talk to us about that. What was going on? He didn't bring a present.
The only reason why it stood out that he didn't bring it is because everyone else did.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, did he not get the memo? You
He
know?
said he didn't get the memo. He said that they told him. He said he told the producer. The producer told him it's okay. Don't bring a gift there.
You know what? He may have asked me before he got here, and I could have said no. I don't know, you know? So it wasn't that bad that he didn't bring a gift.
Oh, fair enough. All right, fair enough. And so where did it go? Where did it fizzle out between yourself and Devon, if at all it did? Because it looked like obviously you got voted off in the end. But where did it fizzle out between yourself and Devon again, if at all?
Well, you know that, in order to stay around, you have to be making connections with someone. So Devin wasn't really connecting with any of the other ladies, and it was like, it was nothing I could do. So I still had connections. So I was just like, it wasn't up to me.
Okay. So are you and Devon still in contact then?
Well, Devin and I, we did talk for a while. We still talk like as friends. Devin is a great guy. He's sensitive. I love the sensitive side of him. He's the only child like me, so that's why we get along. And Devin is the reason why I just have so much respect for him is because he's done a lot of work. He's been through a lot and he's done the work. And I feel like he does have a lot of love in his heart. Like he wants to be in a relationship and he wants to be a good man. He does. I believe him when he says he wants to be a good man. And, he's doing all the right things. He's learning his lessons and he's taking accountability and he's evolving and he's growing as a person. I commend Devin because he did that and he's still able to, come out positive. He's a very positive guy. Very positive.
Yeah, we had a great conversation.
I think the age difference is what messes Devin and I up. It's like if I was his age still, we'd be so cute. And I feel like, he knows that I have a good heart. So
I appreciate that. Do you feel like Devin understood you? Do you feel like Devin
I felt like Devin understood me. Even when he said, I like Shareese because she's real. She's not going to sit up here and pretend. And, I like that about Devin. He knows how to make a good observation of a person.
Do you feel like the men didn't understand you as such, the way that maybe someone like
At
Devin
first,
or Swayze
I think that now the men understand me for sure. I think that Mike understands me. I think that Randall understands me. Samson, all of them. What you see is what you get.
Okay, that's fair. I ain't knocking that. And obviously, you had a friendship or a bit more with Swayze. What was going on there? Because I don't want to stoke no fires now because you and Kaden were beefing. So I just want to understand the relationship because we saw that little digital exclusive on OWN where you and Swayze were kind of talking. What was the connection? Describe the connection between yourself and Swayze. I know you like his muscles, but describe the connection you had with Swayze.
Okay, Swayze, it was definitely, we were friends. Definitely a friendship connection. Definitely, Swayze and I had a lot of conversations. Like I felt like I could talk to him. I could be myself. I could talk to him about Samson. He could talk to me about Katie and I could just talk to him about myself, about my dating. I felt comfortable talking to Swayze. He probably knew more about me than Samson just because I felt like I could open up to Swayze.
What was it about Swayze that made you feel comfortable enough to open up to him?
I think because he's like me, like he jokes a lot and he doesn't take himself so seriously. Probably. I like people that can make me laugh because it makes me feel comfortable. He made me feel comfortable enough to open up, like no judgment zone. Okay. He's not a judgmental person, I don't think. I think that, I just felt understood by him.
So you said I should have made a few more jokes to understand you. No, I rate that. I rate that. So okay, so it was more of a friendship between yourself and Swayze. And obviously, making it adjacent.
And then, like, especially once him and Katie, and it's like you have to respect it. I had to kind of like be like, okay, that's gonna work for them. I saw them a better fit than him and I could have ever been. I think that we are great as friends.
Okay, that's cool.
But I commend myself for at least finding out, right? I didn't give up. I just, I stood up and I challenged him.
I like that. So for you and Swayze, our situation, Swayze came to you after the situation with Kaden. I need to know, number one, why he came to you. I know you're friends, but still, he came to you, even knowing that you and Kaden sometimes have some beef. Why is it that Swayze felt so comfortable to explain something to you? I want to know.
Well, you didn't see that. You only saw a clip. Do you remember the clip of Swayze when he was in my living room talking to my friend and she asked him?
Yes.
Okay, so Swayze came to my house. That's how I knew.
Okay, so Swayze came to your house
after the date that he had was him and Samson. Did you see Samson and Swayze on a date with Katie and her friend?
No, I don't think we got to see that one. No. Tell us more. We're listening.
So Samson and Swayze were on the date with Katie and her friend. And all that happened. Yes. And Samson and Swayze were supposed to come to my house next.
For a date?
For a date to meet my friend.
Okay.
Because I said I wanted her to meet Swayze and
Samson.
Because Swayze is the past. Like I said, like Swayze is who I would have dated in the past, and Samson is my intentional person. Samson is we're on the same page. This is someone that I could see myself intentionally dating.
Okay.
I already knew Swayze was like something I would be attracted to when I was younger. And so when he came, yes, he almost didn't come because he got into the fight with her. And he was like, no, Shareese, I'm not going to do you like that. He called me. He was like, I'm going to come. Even though I'm upset, I'm going to come. And he came. And he got to meet my friend. And he told us that they had got into it. And he was really upset. And then I think I talked to him and Katie on the phone. And I was just trying to calm them down. And,
Oh wait, you spoke to her and Kaden on the phone at your house?
No, later on that day or the next day or something. Because remember when Kaden said like they were going back and forth for a minute? Yeah. Right. And so, like I said, I was supporting their connection by then. Because by then it was Kaden and Swayze, me and Samson, Brandy and Mike, and Jamala and Randall. Okay. And so, so they got into it about that. It was a whole big thing. And so then when we got to the lounge, when she said that she didn't want to bring it up, I brought it up because she brought it up about what Zoe said about the barbecue in the lounge. So I was like, well, no, let me stop. That's not why.
No, that's why. That is why, Shareese. I got you. Nah, Shareese, keep going. Oh, you thought you had it, girl. I got you. Go on now, tell a story, girl. Go on, tell a story.
I was like, wow, Swayze told me that it was because you said that he never dated black women. So that's how that came about.
Okay. That's fair. You know what? I appreciate you for being honest. I appreciate you for being
honest about everything. Ask me anything. I'll tell you the truth.
You know what? I thought you were attractive before, but it's gone up even more now. Just as that little part there. All right. I mean, that makes sense. Listen, I that makes sense. Because look, she did bring up the Zoe thing, and so I get it. On this occasion, you thought just like, hey, You can't do me dirty and you know, get away with it. I appreciate that. That's real. You know, keep it for the streets. I'm never gonna be mad at it. I ain't never mad at that. Okay, so did Caden ever express any concerns though for the relationship you two had? Because if you are close and it seems like you are mutual enemies at that point. Even though I know you're supporting the relationship, which you said you did support the relationship, you were trying to help them grow. But did she ever express any sentiment of the closeness you two expressed? You know, because you know clearly it was very close because he came to your house after you didn't want to do you dirty. He's talking.
Oh, did she do what now?
Did she express concern? Like she didn't like the fact that you two were close or friends?
No.
No. Never had
Well,
any
not that I
issues?
know of.
Oh, okay.
I
So that was
mean,
never part of your arguments. That was never part of you two's arguments. It's always because of sugar daddies and everything else.
right.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. No worries. All right. Fair enough. All right. Cool. So that was a Swayze
It's crazy
situation.
because she takes up for me, but then she also cusses me out. So I don't know.
What is that about? What is this relationship between you and Caden? I'm so confused by it.
Confused as
Give me
well.
understanding.
I have no idea. She had already told me though, I'm gonna cuss you out at that reunion. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Because at this point, I'm tired of fighting. I just think we butt heads, you know. Two strong personalities. I don't like somebody who's like, you know, just I used to be like that though, just could not shut up. I think I went in a phase in my life where I talked so much. My dad used to tell me, you are gonna have to learn how to be quiet. So I went from talking too much to not saying anything at all, and then putting up a wall that I'm slowly letting down.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
So I think I mean I understand some Acadians' behaviors, but it's just not for me.
Do you see yourself in Cadian?
I see some of the way that I used to be. Absolutely. When I was young and I thought I knew everything. Cadian's not a bad person. You know, she knows what she wants. And I think she saw a lot of me in her as well, you know, which she expressed at times. I just don't know that she has other women around her that are on her level. See, me, all the women around me are on my level. Like I don't talk down to people. All my friends are leaders. I don't hang out with followers. I have friends who we respect each other for who we are and we bring something valuable and we build each other up. So I don't really know anything to do with my friends but encourage them and love them and help them to be a good, you know, whoever they want to be, you know. And so it's unfortunate, but we're just not each other's cup of tea.
But it's so weird because obviously it seems like you have moments you're about to connect and it makes sense, and then something else will happen. It's as if,
I think it shifted.
Yeah, go on.
It shifted for us a lot once I started realizing, like, you know, like even at the white party, she had my name in her mouth with the altercation with Mike, and she was telling Shakira, and she's trying to say, well, Shareese is, you know, what did she say? Shareese just got into it with Mike, and so, you know, probably Shakira don't want to talk about, like, it was that I started noticing, like, why every time I look up, you have my name in your mouth. Like, it's always something with me. Why? I'm not doing that with you. And then it was just like, once I realized that she was stirring up a lot of drama, I just was like, I can't do this. I don't think that she genuinely likes me. I think that she just has me around for information.
Oh, okay. Did she ever tell you why she had your name in her mouth constantly? Did she ever let you know why she felt like she had to talk on you or anything like that? Anything that she shared that may have made you understand? Okay,
no,
I can understand
but
why.
I feel like towards the end of the show, like at that reunion, I never thought, like, I thought she was gonna loosen up, you know, because we took pictures together and everything. She's like, let me take pictures with you before I cuss you out. And I'm like, this is so weird.
But you know, that's that directness that you guys love. You know, you love a bit of that directness. You know, I'm
even at that lunch, I was so thrown off because I'm like, we just said we were gonna leave this show as friends. And
What happened with that? What happened with that friend situation? Because she did text. You said that was she texted you
yeah, she
saying
did.
we're going to be friends. Did you truly believe that she meant those
I
words,
did.
even after
I
all the
thought that
altercations?
she meant those words because by this point
Okay.
we had just come from the getaway, and I was starting to feel like I don't think this is gonna work with me and Samson. So I was a little sad. I did feel a little bit like, okay, I'm ready for my journey to come to an end. I think I've gotten all that I can get out of this process.
Mm.
And so having her say that, because we were all going through so much, we were going through so much. Her and Swayze were going through so much. It was starting to take an emotional toll on all of us. And I just really thought she was sincere. And it meant a lot to me because I was supporting her and Swayze, and I was trying to give her good advice, because she did say that she saw a lot of me in her and she didn't want to she didn't want to end up my age by herself. So I felt like, well, you know what, Katie, I want you to have love if that's what you want. I know. I took a lot
Did
of hits. You just
did you
don't
take
know.
did you take that did you take that did you take that personally?
I mean,
I'm
I
taking
didn't
that a little
take
bit
it
personally.
personal because I know who I am and I know that.
But did it hurt though? Because that hurt me. Even when you said it, it hurt me.
Well, sometimes humiliation is motivation. That's what I'll say. So if somebody tries to humiliate you, it's like, whatever, if you know it's not true. Because if anything, you should want to learn from, that's why I have wisdom, right? Because I take the
Mm.
knowledge that I learned from other women. When I was in my 30s, I was learning. I had these women that taught me a lot of things. I know a lot. I think the wisdom that I have comes from the knowledge that I've gotten from other people's experiences. I think you should share experiences when it's going to help somebody. And that's why I always talk from my experiences. I like to speak from a healed place because I want people to know that you don't have to wear your scars around. You don't have to wear your labels around. You don't have to be what people say you are. Even though people are calling me things, I know who I am, and I have to keep that at the front of my head.
Mm.
Because if I don't, I will let this doubt sink in. And we can't live our lives doubting who we are. You have to take accountability for who you are. And at some point, I don't know. I just feel like I wish she could have taken the friendship and learned from me a little bit more,
Mm.
or taken my experiences and tried to listen to some of them because nobody really was listening. Until
Mm.
afterwards. It's like everybody came into the situation like, I'm going to show you who I am. And you see Mike opening up, about his marriage. And when he said his little piece
Yep.
about being married and,
Mm.
I don't think that it was a safe space. I mean, look at what happened to Shakira when she tried to share something vulnerable and something. I don't feel like it was a safe space to go in there and like
Sure.
share, unfortunately.
When's the last time you felt there was a safe space for you to share though?
Oh, I have so many safe spaces. I
Okay.
have my people. I have so many safe spaces because it's so important to share. I mean, I
Mm.
have been in my life before where I didn't share. I wasn't open because I
Okay.
did not want to I didn't want to face the things that I needed to be open about, but
Mm.
now I talk about things with the people that I feel comfortable with. And I thank God that I have that. And I have God, I have at my foundation is definitely my spirituality.
Mm. Was that getting to that point? Was that because of the therapy that you were doing that allowed you to get to that point, or was that something that you were doing before then that allowed you to get to that point with sharing?
Oh yes, the therapy definitely helped me share. I think sometimes, I come from a wellness background. I've worked with doctors, I've worked with psychiatrists. I used to run a wellness spa. I've done yoga, I've done meditation. I still meditate. I practice meditation, prayer, and Pilates now. I don't do yoga as much. But I think that sometimes the person who is, sometimes the sick people need the most help, right? Or sometimes
Yes.
the people who do all these things need the most work. And I think that I did that work before I came to Ready to Love. You know, I have done that work. And I think that looking at myself on this, you know, journey, I have come a long ways. I've grown to some extent. I have really grown. But was I able to share or show that growth or that side of myself as much as I wanted to? No. But, you know.
Okay, that's real. That's real. I mean, I saw that you did take up for Shakira with the Caden situation. You did try to, I think it was when they did open, kind of everybody telling how they feel. Did it looked like you were taking up a more trying to defend, at least not maybe say mediate, try to stop, you know, Caden from going off, not in a rude way either, not in necessarily telling her off, but just more of a case of you want to just to kind of a little bit chill a little bit because Shakira looked like she was taking it badly. You know, what was your perspective on that? How did you view that situation that day?
You know, I just feel like Shakira had a tough time throughout the filming. And so I always had a soft spot for her from day one. I saw that she was awkward at the mixer. And she's one of the only girls that I exchanged numbers with the first day. The only one. And Shakira, what I loved about her was in that space, she was the only one who got vulnerable and got real for a second, you know, because you would think that you're in a dating process. So you thought that all of this like depth was going to be there. That was not there. You know, you thought that it was going to be a space where you could say, listen, you know, this is the type of person that I dated in the past, and this is the problems that I had or whatever. But it wasn't that type of environment. It wasn't like a sisterhood. And when she did share, I hugged her and I told her, you know, thank you, because that's going to help somebody. But unfortunately, it wasn't able to be highlighted, and I'm not going to be the person to highlight it. I think that Shakira was just sensitive from what you guys saw, the crying and stuff. But Shakira knows how to hold her own.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shakira, I mean, and you know, you're in an environment with a bunch of girls. Let's face it. I felt the same way. I felt very uncomfortable. I felt very like I had to defend myself, and it shouldn't have been like that. You know, it really shouldn't have been like that. It was this awkwardness between the ladies. And so, you know, a lot of times I just showed up and did what I had to do and tried to just stay out of the way.
That's fair. Obviously, then moving on to your, well, there was an incident between you and Mike. I want to talk about that. You know, the situation between you and Mike. All right. I want to know from your perspective what happened between you and Mike, because 1 minute you lot were talking, the next minute he's saying, you know, well, you said kids are baggage. He's now saying you're whatever age and no marriage and this and that. You know, it got a little bit tasty between the both of you. Both of you said some things that I think could be easily taken wrongly by the other person. What was your perspective in that situation with you and Mike? Because obviously, clearly, there's more of a conversation around it. Give us a bit more of an understanding of what happened in that moment between you and Mike.
So you guys only saw what Mike said. So what happened was, first of all, in the lounge, I said to Tommy when he asked me, what was it about Mike? I said, and so did Kayla, say that he had the baggage. Okay. Everybody said the baggage, right?
I'm with you.
And I said, you know, 3 kids and a divorce is a bit much for me. I never said the kids were baggage. Okay. I said the situation was baggage. Did I learn that baggage could be offensive, a word that, you know, is negative? Yes. But did I say that to Mike? No, I said it in the lounge. Somebody went back and told Mike, Shareese said that she wasn't feeling you because you have too much baggage. So what do you think he's going to do? If somebody comes back to you and tell you someone says something, you're going to take it personal. I never said to Mike, you have baggage. No. But when he came to me and asked me about it, what you didn't see was I told him, Mike, You can put your hands down. You can relax. Please do not take it personal. I said, Mike, I was only saying that it was a bit much for me. I said, there's no need for you to take it personal, Mike. Your kids are not baggage. Kids are a blessing. Well, you don't ever have to see my kids. My kids are fine. Da, 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 da. And he was still like, trying to he was telling me like, you're already writing me off because I know what type of person you are. You already know what you want. And, you just right away, you like Katie and you dismissive. Y'all just dismiss everything. And I'm like, no, Mike, I'm not dismissing you. All I'm saying is my first thoughts when I think of you is just the kids and the divorce. Someone who's never been married, I'm not going to be as experienced, like I don't even have any kids. And then you have 3 kids. And what if I want 1 kid and then that's 4 kids? But it was never meant for him to take it personal. It was never meant, as a diss or anything like that. But it was an honest observation. It was an honest observation coming from, I've dealt with that before. I dated a guy who had 4 kids. And I dated another guy who had 4 kids in a divorce. And I just know the kind of drama that it could cause between the children and the mom. And I don't want to be a part of that. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to date someone with more than 2 or 3 kids. I never said, realistically, a lot of people already have kids. But then again, I found Samson. He doesn't have kids. So I feel like, and after that, Mike and I talked and we talked more. And I feel like he has a good understanding of who I am. And I don't think that he takes it personal. I think that Mike just knows that I am who I am.
That's fair. You and Mike obviously have a conversation later on after at the couch, where you said you kind of said you did say you felt like he was a little bit aggressive in that conversation. I wanted to get a bit more of an understanding in terms of that conversation because I was like, okay, you kind of said he's aggressive in that conversation. Why for you did you feel like he was being a bit aggressive in that conversation for you?
About the baggage? Oh, he was definitely being aggressive. He was not on the couch. I'm talking about when he approached me about the baggage and the kids. He was definitely being aggressive because then he turned around and said, well, you're 45 with no kids. And da-da-da. So it was definitely an aggressive conversation. It was not, one of the most pleasant conversations. And I wasn't the only one saying that Mike was being aggressive. Katie was saying it. Kayla was saying it. When you start moving your hands and, he had that look on his face of disgust. And I'm just trying to butter him up. So.
Would you call that aggressive if someone is, you know what I mean? Because
someone comes up to you and say, you calling my kids baggage and they're moving their hands and they're talking a certain way. I think it's aggressive.
Okay.
Some people say I'm assertive aggressive, or I just mean, I'm not saying like he was physically aggressive. I'm saying his demeanor is aggressive. Now, do I think that Mike would pick me up and body slam me? No. No, but that's just his personality. Like
depends what kind of body slam is.
Even when he talks to me, he like, I know how, Mike he talks under his breath. He's like, I know how you are, Shareese. You know what you want. You got your own money. I see you. Da, 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 da. He's just, it is what it is.
I only push back because the word aggressive, especially for us as black folk, as you know, is used on black women quite a lot. And I think a few seasons ago, I told this about Tyron. I said the exact same thing to him. The word aggressive is quickly utilized in a way against us in a very difficult way.
Okay, so so you're saying that I can't call him aggressive, but then you call me defensive. So what's the difference?
There's a massive difference. If someone calls you aggressive, there's a massive difference.
Then being defensive?
And the weight. Yeah, I would call Mike defensive. You know what I mean? I call Mike defensive. I'm saying I
call it defensive instead of aggressive.
I would call Mike. He was partly sensitive too, and that was a big problem. But you know, I would say the word aggressive can be. This is more me of a pushback slightly. It's not even necessarily you can't say it, but I'm saying obviously similar to how Tyrone called Kerry some seasons ago aggressive. I'm saying at the same time for you,
Somebody
when you
just said
say
I
when you
was
say,
borderline narcissist.
I don't agree with that personally. So don't worry about what that person's saying. I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Oh,
But
that made
I would
me weak.
okay, so would you consider looking at yourself back? Okay, so would you looking back at your behavior on the show,
Yeah.
would you also consider some of your behavior aggressive?
Maybe passive aggressive. Because boy, I could have really got
Okay,
aggressive. You just don't know. Woo!
passive aggressive. Okay, so would you then call Mike then passive aggressive? Would you say he was more passive aggressive as well then?
I guess so.
Okay, that's fair enough. If you would say that, that's fair. No
But
problem.
now that I understand him and I know that that's how he talks, I would retract that. I wouldn't necessarily say he was being aggressive. See, I feel like we were all just getting to know each other. So some of these scenarios is just how it played out. Um, but now that I would take Mike over Zoe any day because now I just understand that that's the way he expresses himself or the way he talks or
That's yeah, I get it. I mean, I can agree with that. If you want to say passive aggressive, I think that's
yeah, but
a fair argument.
I would never want to see a black man go to jail. Like, come on, I was going to lawyer to get y'all out of jail. I wanted to be a lawyer to get black people out of jail, not to put them in there. Like, I am not one of those people. I do not call the popo.
No, I wasn't saying that you would. I don't think. I'm not saying that you necessarily would call the popo or anything like that. I was just saying, but you already answered it, and I think you were quite fair. You said that if you look back at some of your behaviors, you might would say passive aggressive. So the same could be said for Mike, and I would agree with that. I wouldn't disagree at all. I would actually agree with that. So I'm with you on that part. So that's fair. Okay. So okay, that was a Mike connection kind of done then. So coming on to a final kind of connection, Samson. You two seem to hit it off. You two seem to be getting along. You two seem to be vibing. You know what I mean? You're giving him facials. He's sucking your toes. Apparently, you got really nice toes. I mean, that's the word in the street. Okay, Shareese. All right. You know, so you know, we got to see them toes, baby. But you know, it seemed to be working for you guys. It seems to be going somewhere. Tell us a little bit about the connection between yourself and Samson. Before we go to it gets bad, tell us a little bit about your connection with Samson. What was so great about the connection with you and Samson?
In the beginning, Samson was very attentive. I thought he was interesting. I thought his conversation was interesting. I thought, you know what, he seems like he is in a good place in his life. You know, the only thing that I noticed was he was not very self-aware. So I feel like
Okay.
he's good at looking at everyone else, but not himself.
Mm.
And kind of like, what you did tonight, I guess I tried to pry a little bit because it does make a difference, like how you grew up. You should always know like how a person grew up, how they were raised, if there was any abuse, if there was any alcohol. Those are good questions to ask when you're, you know, trying to get to know someone seriously. And so he did start to open up. So I liked Samson. I thought, he's a nice guy. We're around about the same age. We have some of the same interests. And so he's until he started describing things like jumping off of a plane or jumping off of a cliff. And I'm like, I'll jump off of a boat or something, but I don't know about. So, and then I started seeing little, but then I thought, he was like the calm to my storm. So we're very different. And I like that I was able to go to him, but then I tested him a few times and I don't think that he could handle a lot of the dynamics of my personality. That's where
Which
that
part?
my dad said, that difficulty could come in.
Which part of your personality do you feel like he couldn't really
Um,
handle? I'm starting to like you a lot more, Shareese. Come on,
Maybe
let's hear it.
like that sometimes, like for instance, the girls notice at the getaway, I made a joke. It's not a good joke. when, when Tommy came in, I said, "It's all these chicks and no dicks," or something. Something like that. Like I said, like it's not enough, right? And I was like, yeah, so all these chicks and not enough dicks. And everybody passed out laughing. And Samson was kind of like, I knew Samson would be the kind of husband where, your wife is getting a little bit too out of line or she's saying too much. And he's like, hey. So I thought that was cute, but they were like, people felt like he would try to control me or change me or saw that as being a problem in the future. So I started noticing it. Because it made me feel like, well, is he telling them something about me that I don't know, And they liked it when I was turned up and having fun. And it's like, when Samson came around, I was more so like not trying to have too much fun or say anything that might upset him.
So you feel like he was easy triggered?
Say it again.
Do you feel like he was easily... He didn't allow for your personality to be expansive in a sense.
Right. Okay. Yes. So it was kind of like, I don't know if you could be yourself around him. And that's a big, like, for me, that's the one thing I have to be myself. Like, I want a person to accept me for who I am. So that may mean that I'm going to say some funny things, or I may blurt out the wrong thing, but hey, just take it and move on. I want somebody to accept all of that about me.
Okay, no, that's fair. So,
fun.
So obviously, Swayze said it's Mr. Sampson now. So in alignment with Mr. Sampson, obviously, you two. Okay, do you see? You said obviously you see your you can see the representation of your father in him, but do you see any parts of yourself?
Just not being emotionally available part.
Okay.
Samson with my dad, like not being able to handle the tears. Like that's the part that Samson is like, I had where I really broke down. Like when that thing happened with Zoe, I'm like, oh, what just happened? Like I'll cry in a minute. And so, not a lot of people can handle tears. But it is important to me to have a man, because I have had a man to understand my tears and to be okay with me crying. So it is important for me to have someone that allows me to be emotional and not run or think I'm crazy.
When Samson wasn't able to handle those tears, how did you feel? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel like I don't know if this is gonna work. Because it just felt like at that moment, if somebody's crying, I need to have a deeper conversation. I would have rather for him, like how you started the show, trying to get to know me and figure out, why did you do this? Why did you do that? I would have rather for him that could have been a part of him that he would have been able to learn more about me. And I knew that my dad always says, when a man opens your heart and he sees your heart, he's going to love you, but he's got to get there. Right. So I always try to get a person to the part where they can just take all this Shareese who's defending herself, Shareese who's a businesswoman, a boss who has her own stuff. I try to get a person to the point where they don't even look at any of that. And they just see me as a person who's open with a heart and who really, I am sensitive. I do have emotions. I'm not all big and bad. I do get hurt. And so it's important for me to have a partner that will be able to work with me through that hurt and that pain.
What did he ever explain why he, did you ever talk to him? Did you ever communicate to him?
So when I had him at the spa, that was another attempt to try to, I told you, like, I don't know how to break people open. I try my best. Sometimes I guess I'm not that successful at it. But I did try to ask him about therapy, and he said that he got therapy for his girlfriend. He didn't need it. She needed it. And so I asked him about, she needed it, not him. And so I knew that this person is always going to be looking to me to be perfect. If I and you should be able to share with a person. And then he has shared something with me about someone else that he dated, and I felt like he was very judgmental. So if I feel like a person is judgmental, you're not going to get me to share anything that you're going to turn around and use it against me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted to see a less judgmental Samson. And then when we got to that date, he started with his judgments. All the things that I thought he felt about me, he said it out of his mouth.
So everything in that moment then came into fruition. All the energy, all the feelings, thoughts.
He was holding on that. Mm-hmm. And
Could you sense that was happening?
I did. And I feel like that's very deceitful because, like people talk trash about Katie and Swayze, but at least they both know where they're coming from. At least the person is honest enough to be upfront with you. Like, don't wait until we get married or until I get all the way up here with you. And then you start telling me, well, you did this and you did that. You were holding on to that all along and didn't say anything. It's like sleeping with the enemy. I just don't think that's cool. I like people to be straight up with me. Be honest. It's just like you're straight up with me. Shareese, I feel that you had some issues when you were growing up. Yes, I did. You're being honest about it. You're telling me to my face, right? But he didn't tell me any of those things to my face. He could have told me those things when we were at my spa. And I was asking him, what makes you open up? I said to him, I said, when was the last time you cried? And he said he didn't think he ever cried. He said he didn't even cry when his grandmother died. So to me, that felt like I'm going to be in a relationship with no emotional support. And so I know that I need emotional support. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm with you on this now. I'm riding with you. I'm in deep with you now. We're rowing this boat together. Okay. I need you to push a little bit harder though, because you're rowing with me, and I'm liking it. We're both rowing. Okay. My arms are hurting, but I'm loving the rowing that we're doing right now. The scenery's great. Okay. All right. The water's beautiful. It's smooth and it's serene.
I like the pink in the background too. Yeah.
You like the pink? You like the pink, right? See, I'm starting to stop it, Shareese. You try to flirt with me, girl.
Melting my heart.
Don't flirt too much now. Go and get them talking. Okay, I don't mind if they talk. But so for yourself and Samson, so he said obviously he wanted you to open up. You wanted him to open up. Okay, let me ask you more. Because obviously I've tried to have a conversation with you here, and you're right. I wanted to be straight up with you and be direct.
Yes.
But when I first encountered you, I was meeting resistance. So how easy is it for someone, if you were to look back on the situation between yourself and Samson, how easy would it have been to be able to get you to a place to be emotional? Because I can see it now. You've opened up now. Yeah. I can see that you're
so you
sharing.
see that I'm open, right? So
I am, but at first,
all that time,
I had to work hard. Yeah, we're sweating.
I'm sweating too. So listen, all that time, I gave him all that time. He could have opened me up. I'm not that hard. You got me open in 2 hours. Like, I was open minutes ago. And that's when I knew, like, at that getaway, I said, if we're not at that point where I feel open and I feel heard and I feel like we're both sharing from an authentic place. Because, when you first meet people, you're bringing your representative. And I was like, if this guy doesn't get more authentic with me, I'm not leaving the show with him. I'm not doing it. And I felt like he was treating me almost like it was that same unavailable stuff that I experienced in the past. He was not that available. He was not.
We know that now, yeah. You hear the whole girlfriend. Yeah.
There was times where he wasn't available, and I'm trying to have a conversation. How can I talk to him about my childhood and he's on a bicycle talking to me on the phone? And then every time I tried to have a real conversation with him on camera, he was talking about corn on the cob.
Oh, okay. So if I'm getting you correctly, because I think I'm starting to understand you a bit more now. You said something really interesting because you mentioned earlier on in the very beginning when you got to the resort, you said people were trying to talk to you when you were doing something, and now you mentioned about also him talking to you whilst he's doing something. Your love language is one of them quality time? What's your love languages?
Yeah, well, my love language is words of affirmation, touch, and gifts.
And gifts. Okay, cool. How I want
I
to
would
know.
say
I want to.
quality time is definitely, I love quality. I would take quality time over a gift.
Okay, that's fair. Okay,
Mhm.
so would you say how did you interpret that situation when you're trying to talk to Samson and he's cycling? What's going through your mind? How are you interpreting that? Because I think sometimes maybe as a man, to some men who maybe were not always in tune emotionally to
Mhm.
conversations like that, we may be thinking, I'm just trying to cycle whilst talking to you. It's, I'm here and present. But to you, it sounded like you interpreted it differently. How did you interpret in that moment for you when you're trying to share your vulnerabilities with him when
That
he's
he
cycling?
wasn't
How did you
really
interpret?
interested. I mean, because
Okay.
if he was really interested in getting to know me and have an understanding about me, he would have asked more questions. And he wasn't doing that. So, I think that Samson also, I think that, there was a part of me that felt like maybe because he was uncomfortable on camera, he thought that I would be.
Mm.
But I really wasn't uncomfortable on camera. If it was real, but we just didn't get to that point. So,
Mm. No, that's fair.
I
That's
mean,
fair.
we had conversations, not on camera, but I just don't remember him ever. It wasn't what I needed. It wasn't. And I tried even with him, but it was just felt like, he always had to be in control of the conversation. He had to be always in control of everything. So I just shut down.
Mm. When you shut down, what was his response to the shutdown? How did he take your
Um,
shutdown?
I don't think he really was aware that I had started shutting down. I don't think he
Okay.
noticed it. I don't even think he noticed it because he was too much, you know, something was distracting him.
Mm.
He wasn't all there.
You
He
feel
was
like he
not
had his
all
heart in
there.
another
So
place? You feel like he had his heart in another place?
yeah, or just like trying to protect someone, or
Mm.
maybe there's something else going on there.
Like a girlfriend?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we all know in this atmosphere, so don't worry about it, sis. You ain't saying nothing new. We all know about the girlfriend situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So
Um, yeah, I'm listening. Go on.
so yeah, I think I started to get realistic and I started to think about myself because I think the only thing I went off was Simpson's a nice guy. And then, once I started peeling back some layers, I'm like, it's not enough to just, nice is bullshit. People say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's nice. What is that? There's a lot
Mm.
more to just being nice. If you're a good person, you're a good person. Do I think that Samson is a good person? Yes. Do I think that he's nice? No.
Mm.
No.
Mm.
And I was rather disappointed in his reaction because out of everyone, I never thought that he would take it like that. I thought that he would be able to reason and have a conversation and at least see where I was coming from.
Mm.
And all I wanted him to do was acknowledge. I mean, the earful that I got before meeting up with him, and what you didn't see was that um That was after the ladies' lounge. I had to wait for Samson for that date for like 3 hours.
Huh?
Yeah, I was waiting for him for 3 hours. I was calling his phone. He wasn't answering. And after eliminations, everybody knows to answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after deliberations, not
Yeah.
eliminations, deliberation. And I was just really shocked at what they told me that he said and did, because I thought, we were already like planning on trying to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
We had already said, listen, we're going to continue this and try to get to know each other and see what we can do. But then I felt like, maybe he doesn't really feel this way. If these ladies are telling me that he told them that as well, maybe he was just trying to make it to the end.
Mm.
So I said, well, if we leave, if I go to this dinner, I was still counting on him to say something different. I was not ready to say you aren't ready to love, but I just felt like you're not ready to love because you went around and did everything with everyone and didn't really make it clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, it was clear, but at this point, the information that the ladies told me, you weren't really making it clear to them. You were making it clear to me.
Mm. You mean so he was making it clear to you in terms of his intention towards you?
Yes, of course. That's why I was so confused, because I'm like, I thought it was just him and I. So when I get to the deliberation and he's still telling Brandy,
That she's one of the ones that he thought that she was the one as well. He told Brandy that, didn't he?
and Katie and said it. So I'm like,
okay.
and this was after the getaway. So of course I'm like, what?
So wait,
I
wait,
was
wait.
hurt. I'm like,
So he said. So are you saying that Cadian said she heard about Brandy's one, or he said to Cadian and Brandy that they were the ones that he's feeling?
yes, you heard Katie when she was like, Shareese, Samson's full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in the lounge that day with Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy was like, well, Shareese, you should take Samson out and have a conversation with him about it. How do you feel? And I said, I feel very torn. He said, is it hard to hear this information? And I said, yes, because it was. Because he was always telling me it was just me. Like, he's like, no, Brandy is with Mike. Like, he was just always like, there is no way I could deal with Katie,
Mm-hmm. So he was playing.
I mean, right after that, and honestly, I thought that I didn't know how it was going to end. I just felt like once he flipped it on me was when I had no other choice. Like once he flipped it and was like, well, you're this and you're that, I started seeing his true colors. And I was like, okay, so what I thought about him is true. He doesn't like me, because he wouldn't have held on to all of this. He could have been upfront and honest. He didn't have to lie if he felt this way about me. And then he blocked me.
He blocked you on Insta?
He blocked me and then he unblocked me before the reunion was coming.
Did he tell you why he blocked you?
Nope. I think he was upset. He said that he didn't like the way I was upset too, but I thought that we could have talked about it. I mean, Katie and Swayze broke up and then went and had lunch afterwards. But I just felt like if it was really something there, then we don't have to leave together. We can be together. We can show up at the reunion together if it's really something there. But obviously it wasn't, because he blocked me. So I just don't think that it was about me. I think that it was about him. So
okay. I mean, he recently popped a post about you two are friends now. Is that the case? You two
well,
are now friends?
Like I said, you're gonna see us at the reunion. After he unblocked me right before the show was coming out, he called me and asked me to go to dinner. He wanted me to meet one of his friends.
Whilst having a girlfriend?
Right. But I didn't know anything about the girlfriend. I didn't find out anything about the girlfriend until the reunion. I didn't know anything about the girlfriend. So the girlfriend thing was just, so he was still trying to hold on to whatever he thought he wanted me to think, and I was just like,
Mr. Sampson.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay, so currently now, are you guys friends? Because that's the current post he put up. He put up a
But here's
post,
the
and
thing. I haven't
girl, if you
talked.
say here's the thing, that means say they ain't it, Shareese. You a straight shooter. If you say here's the thing, you already going around the gap account. Hmm? Are you friends or not? Like when he put up a post like, oh my god, my friend. Da, da, da. Is that how you feel?
I don't feel like that today.
Okay, fair enough.
Did I feel like that before? Yes, because this is how I felt. Like Samson is harmless.
Mm-hmm.
I could be friends with him. Why not? Like, this is a part of our history, ready to love together, right? So why I'm an adult, he's an adult. But I don't know if I could be friends with him now that, more and more of the story is uncovering. And even like 2 weeks ago, we watched the show together. Did you not see the picture I posted? Like he came
Oh, I must
over.
have missed that.
Yeah, he
Oh, I
came
must have
over
missed
to my
that.
friend's house and watched the show with me.
Did he tell you had a girlfriend then?
Yes, but
Okay.
I mean, it's
I'm
not
just
like
I'm
he
just
came
wondering.
over as a friend. Because again, I'm cordial. Like I
Mm.
listen. You want to come watch the show? Like
I gotta ask, was it just you two? I'm not trying
no,
to get skated,
it was
but I gotta
not. It
ask.
was the rest of my
Okay,
family and
so we
friends.
can make it clear. Just wanted to make it clear because we know people be talking, and I'll be one of
No,
those
no,
people
no,
that be
no, no.
talking.
It wasn't just
So
us. And
okay, so okay,
no.
okay, fair enough.
But
Okay,
we were talking and texting, but I don't know. I think whenever the show took a turn for him, he took a turn for me.
mm, mm, mm. Okay, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that. I hear that. Okay, so obviously, that situation happened between yourself, Samson. Um, y'all ain't together. We found out. He's probably got a little boo on the side potentially as well. Um, he's saying friends, but you're not necessarily there as of yet. Okay. So that's in progress. Um, now watching the last 12 episodes or so, you know, give us your final sentiments towards the relationship between yourself and Samson. Like now looking back over the weeks that you saw on the show, what we saw, what's your sentiments now of the relationship between you and Samson?
Um, like I said, I don't. It doesn't make me a difference one way or another. I feel like I wish him and his girlfriend the best. I wish him the best. I think that Samson is an interesting person. I think he's a very interesting person, and I don't know. I would have to work on that friendship element of it. I think that we have forgiven and forgotten, and so we can
Mm-hmm.
move on. So we can say, okay, we can be friends. We can be cordial. We can be cordial. But that's on Samson. I can only take accountability for my actions and who I was on the show and who I am in real life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, moving forward, I don't see it with Samson. I just don't think that we're for each other. And I really hope that his relationship brings him whatever it is he wants from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I would love to see Samson in a few years. I would love to see if he's
Grown.
grown any. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that Samson knows that I'm always going to be okay. He commends me on being strong. And I think that's probably why we're not meant for each other. I don't know how much.
But do you want to be always looked at as strong though, Shareese?
No,
Do
I
you want to
don't
be
want to. I
exactly? Because
don't
I
want to
think
be
you're most
labeled as
attractive in your face.
strong, but I realize that Michelle Obama's strong. Barack
Yeah,
loves
bro.
her. Like, what's wrong with being strong? It's not a negative thing.
No, but she's strong to the outer world. We don't know her personally, but Shareese,
Yeah.
now I'm getting to know you. I'm saying to you, the most attractive part of you is when you give me that vulnerability. Now, it doesn't necessarily be in this interview, but it's when you give me that vulnerability, like you've been doing. It's taken us a little bit of a time. We've got to a place where I think you're trusting me a bit more, and this is where the attractiveness really kicks in. It's at this point. I don't want you to be like when Samson said that. We all heckled. We got at Samson when he said he's attracted to a strong woman. We ain't attracted. We don't need you to be strong. I'm not saying that you can't have your independence and everything. We're not talking about
Right.
that. But we want you to be strong at the right moments. It's not there needs to be space for you to also be vulnerable. There needs to be space for you, like you said, to cry and something to say cry, to be emotional, to be able to express yourself. And in that place, that's where we can then cover you. This is why men are, if you want to look at it physically, that's why we can put our arms around you. It creates that safety feeling. So
Yeah.
no, I don't want you to be strong all the time, Shareese. I want you to be able to say, I want to rest. I just want to be able to rest. I just want to be able to let go. Just like you said to me in the very beginning, you chose beauty, and you chose beauty because it was a softer life in terms of the effects of it. That's what I want from you. Being strong is going to get tiresome, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to have a place to be able to be strong in your weakness, and the weakness being in your vulnerability. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Vulnerability, I think, that's a big thing. But sometimes, like I feel like, for instance, Katie said I was too sensitive, and I had to tell her, like, you can't say what's my level of sensitivity. You can't say that I'm too sensitive. So I think, yeah, you're right. I don't have to be so strong, so guarded,
I
so
appreciate you.
defensive.
I appreciate you. You got a beautiful smile too. Very
Thank you.
cute.
Thank you.
Can't
Thank
lie to you.
you. You too.
If I
Thank
if I was 10 years older, you know what I mean? Me and you could have been really. But I got Swayze's age going on right now.
You know what? That's who likes me. It's so crazy. I don't know what it is. It's like I'm in an older man's position, and I think I like it because I like that you guys are very, like, look at you. You're so mature and you're so advanced in your knowledge, and you're able to tell me about me. I like that.
You like a man with you like a man that is able to um, have wisdom.
Have
To
wisdom and see it
have wisdom.
already. Like how you said, okay, I can see, that you may have some daddy issues, or I can see where this may come from, because those conversations are healthy because they help you in a relationship. Because then you know what makes this person so triggered. Like I have a guy friend, his wife gets triggered, but he's mature enough to say, honey, what's triggering you? Okay, she was cheated on in the past. This is why she feels like sometimes she called me 50 times because of this. But you don't meet a lot of men who are mature enough to deal with you like that. So I think I'm guarded until I find a man who can deal with me in that way, that he's going to understand me instead of judge me. And then I feel comfortable to be vulnerable. I think I get defensive when I feel judged.
I can understand that. I can understand that. That's real. That's real. So obviously we've been here for almost 2.5. If we were to, we're almost doing a reverse what I usually do. So going back to almost at the very beginning for you, what has made you feel more comfortable in this particular space that we're having this conversation, so that I can also understand you a bit better? What's made you more comfortable? Because you have generally have opened up, like I can see that has happened in the last 2.5 hours. What's made you feel more comfortable to be able to share, so that we can understand where it's harder for you too, so we can also meet you halfway in a sense,
I guess it takes me a while to open up when I meet a person, or just to be able to talk freely. So I guess in my mind, it's something that says, okay, you don't have to be defensive. Take it as constructive criticism, or take it as an observation, or take it as a moment to grow and to share. to be open. So I guess in my mind, I have to feel like, okay, now is the time where I can open up and be vulnerable. It's just something that I have to warm up to. I don't know. I just don't do it instantly. And I don't know if I can identify it yet. I think maybe the continued talking, maybe talking helps me to open up more. Maybe because I've been talking to you a little bit longer.
Do you feel like, because I know for me, because oftentimes people see me in this position, but
Right.
when people get me one to one, I realize I tend to be a bit more quieter because I'm not used to being in a position of talking, unless I'm in this position when I'm interviewing. But when I'm one to one with people, I try and defend myself in a place of being a bit more quieter. So I realized, I think it was happening to me the other day when I was in US, and someone started asking me questions, and I couldn't even look at them straight. I was kind of looking to the side and then answering the questions, but because I find it difficult when I have to talk about me personally.
Yes.
And that's because as a kid, I didn't really have that option. As a kid, I was
Mhm.
kind of left to do my own devices. I grew up independent. I'm
Yes.
firstborn. I had to kind of figure it all out. So I didn't
Hmm.
really get a chance to open myself up and speak about how I felt. So I don't know, for you, when you were younger, were you able to kind of speak about how you felt and stuff like? So for me, I didn't have that opportunity. I don't know if that was for you as well.
I think I was too distracted. Probably. I don't think that I've learned to speak up. Like I do believe that I have communication that I could work on. Knowing when to speak and not to speak.
Okay.
I think that I could do better with that. And I'm trying.
Hey, I'm with you, baby. We're on this journey together because I'm with you on this journey, baby.
I'm
Okay,
trying
I'm
to
with you.
learn to open up and express myself. I think that when I was growing up, I think it was a time in my life where I was too expressive.
Oh,
So maybe that,
oh, you did say your dad said you should not talk as much.
yeah, I feel like, I went from a place of like just avoiding talking about myself, anything to get to not talk about me.
Same.
And then I started talking about myself too much, and I felt like get over yourself,
Yeah.
like nobody wants to be around anyone always talking about their self.
It's hard to find that balance.
That balance. And I think what I'm left now with is trying to find that balance still. I do have my moments and I do have people that, like I said, that's where I form most of my friendships is in those moments of vulnerability, where we just have that quiet time and I feel comfortable and we share over a glass of wine or dinner. I am more of one of those kind of people. So I knew that going on this show was going to be a challenge for me
Yeah.
because I did step out of my comfort zone because that is not the environment that I'm used to being in.
I understand.
That makes sense.
It
Yeah.
makes 100% sense. Yeah. 100% makes
Because
sense.
I
And
think I've become a little introverted, you
as you
know,
got older,
as I got older.
I'm with you.
And then being so misunderstood, or you get into so many confrontations until you're just like, you know what? I'm done trying.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. And so I just found my tribe and I ride with my tribe.
I'm with you on this. Do you not ever get like? Because I feel like sometimes, I say aside YouTube, because obviously, of course, I've built a community on YouTube, so I know that people listen. But I think sometimes I struggle with like when I'm, and I think the reason why I also struggle with the conversation piece sometimes is I never. Sometimes I feel like people, and that's why I really understood what you meant about the cycling with Samson, right? I
Mhm.
get really cheesed off if I'm now opening my, because it takes me a long while to get to a place where I'm going to be vulnerable and talk about things that have happened to me in the past. If
Mhm.
you like little things set me off, like if you're starting to maybe not eat, maybe something like, let's say you start looking at your phone, or you start doing something that's distracting, I get
Mhm.
really pissed off in that moment, and then I just instantly just go shut down, and I'll kind of take the conversation elsewhere. And I felt like in my past, and maybe even sometimes I feel like sometimes people are listening, but they're not really listening. You know what I mean? Like, because it takes me a long while to get to that place. I need your undivided attention the same way that if you're talking to me, I'm going to give you the undivided attention. You know, I don't know if you can identify, because that is one of my biggest things where not opening up is because people don't always.
You can tell when people are listening. And I had to learn how to listen too. I used to cut people off, and no one wants to have a conversation with someone who does not listen. And this is another thing that the whole thing with Samson triggered in me was with my ex. So I learned from him, and it was very hurtful when he told me this. Like, I was like, I really need to look at myself, because I felt like I had let myself down in him when he told me that he never felt comfortable talking to me about certain things.
Okay.
So then I had to figure out why, you know, and that's why I realized it's so important to me to have a partner who feels comfortable telling me how they feel and opening up to me.
Okay.
Because I learned from him, he said that I never made him feel comfortable, because I told you I had this very dismissive, my way or the highway. And I just, you know, I guess he felt like, he probably felt like I was going to judge him, or I wouldn't be okay with what he was going through. And I didn't like that, because I thought it's the exact opposite. And he was like, you know, he felt like I loved him more than any woman loved him, but he couldn't talk to me. And I was just like, what is this? You know, because to me, I would rather for him to feel comfortable enough to talk to me and tell me what's really going on.
Yeah.
But he didn't feel that he could do that. And so I said, I never want to be with somebody and they don't feel like they could talk to me and be themselves, you know, and tell me what's really going on in your life. Because I think that we all need that person. So I think for me, Samson should have been trying to build a friendship with me then, not now. You know, and yeah, that was something that really, I said, it's no way. I never want this to happen again. I never want to be in a place where a man does not feel comfortable to express himself.
Do you think Samson felt comfortable sharing with you?
I think that's where that maybe not intimidation, but I think that people don't expect for me to be as understanding, or I think I get people who they put on such a hard shell, you know, they put on such a hard fight that there's no way they could show me their weakness. So I think my ex was like that as well. He looked at me as, you know, too spicy to handle his weaknesses. He had to be so strong for me. There was no way he could show me the vulnerable side that was really struggling and dying inside.
That's real.
So I think, you know, I don't know why Samson didn't feel comfortable, but I don't think it's just me. I think that some men are just not there. And I think he's one of them. I don't know that people really know who Samson is, because I don't think I'm the only one out of all the ladies who said that. They all said they know all the things about him, but there's nothing really
concrete
that stood out, you know?
I get you.
So
I think it's quite interesting, something that I observed with, I think, just through the conversation and also as well watching the show, is that you do something quite interesting, right? So when you spot vulnerability, you cover. But when the vulnerability, so like for instance, Devon, I saw it as that's what I asked you. Are you very loyal? Because I think in your head you saw someone in that moment who's opened themselves up and being vulnerable. You instantly did something that I feel like you wish people would do for you, which is you instantly covered him. It was really interesting because as soon as Kaden was coming at him, you went and you got involved, you got him in the middle, you hugged him, you know, and you created this space where you can understand. So for Devon too, he's also in a place of people judge him a lot. So what you provided for him in that moment was you sensed in that moment that he needed coverage. He didn't need judgment from you. He needed coverage because you could see vulnerability. I think it's harder when the person doesn't present automatically the vulnerability to then want to kind of pull that out. I think Devon was easier for you because you could almost kind of see yourself in that situation, not necessarily
Right.
in being a baby mother or anything, but you could see a little bit of that vulnerability. And I think it was easy for you to jump in there because it's part of you. That's what you would naturally do. You'd want to cover. You want to make sure that person's protected. And then it's interesting though with the Samson situation, because I feel like with Samson, you two kind of mirror and dance with one another. Neither one wants to bring the wall down first because both parties are like, that's why I said I didn't like what Samson was saying about the strength, but he was seeing strength in you, and that wall that he has up doesn't come down. You see the strength in him in terms of him not being vulnerable in depth. Your wall stays up. Nobody then can shift that movement. So someone's got to give. Like, for instance, me and you are talking. I had to give. Right? I can keep asking questions, and I'll keep probing into a little while, see how far we can get in. And you'll give me little bit by little bit. You'll give me a little bit, you a little bit. What you need is somebody to pursue that from you. But the trouble is for a lot of men is what you're asking them to do is something that only a therapist or a counselor spirit can do. And that person would have to be a special person. So that depth and time it takes for me to get from here to over there, I know I did it in 2 hours, but what we're talking about is somebody who has a gift versus somebody who's normal. It's completely different. So somebody who's normal, just a normal everyday man, him seeing all those hurdles he's got to jump, I don't really care. This is part of my job. I love this, and this is how I deal with human beings. I want to get to know them. I don't mind there being a wall. But if I'm dating, I couldn't do this because I've learned that when I do jump all those hurdles and I get to the other side, it isn't always met with a reward because by the time I get to that space, I'm now tired. So anything that's going to now attack me in that moment, I'm now super vulnerable because I'm knackered. And now when you're hitting me with anything, I'm like, oh, I'm just done. Oh, I'm tired of it. Oh, I'm good. Because I'm tired of jumping all the hurdles. So I think for men, what they may see is you may be strong, but there's hurdles to get over. And by the time we get to the other side, I'm knackered. And I think where it can be changed for yourself is lessening the hurdles, but still being agile and flexible. I always say this, it's almost like being like water. At some points, water can become very firm, but other times it flows. And once you get to that state where you can flow, it doesn't matter what they bring. You can discern and decipher. You're not great, so I don't have to give you no time. I don't waste no time. But a lot of us are very solid because we're used to defending ourselves, but we're not used to the discernment that comes with it. So what happens is you become very firm, rigid, and you can't move and shift. And it becomes this, every time I'm talking to you, where I have to keep battering it down before I get it down, when it should be like water. So if I'm correctly coming at you, I should just be able to flow right through. I should be able to cut through. So I think sometimes that's what might be happening. I don't know if does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Of course it makes sense. And that's the reason why I didn't leave the show with him, because it wasn't flowing. And I gave him a chance. Out of everyone, I never got into it with Samson. Did you hear me get into it with Samson throughout the show?
To be fair, I was backing you on the Samson part. He was moving mad.
It got all the way to the end before it exploded. So I think that I was being a little bit reserved. I was definitely trying to test out the waters, because I wanted to open him up as much as I wanted him to open me up, because I think that that's what helps to form a relationship. I wanted to give him the same love that I wanted from him. I wanted to give. So
I love that,
because I think that it's not about what you can get, it's what you can give.
I respect that. Looking back on your experience on Ready to Love, what would you say are 1 or 2 key learns that you got from that experience? What are the 1 or 2 key learns you got from that experience for you, Shareese?
I've learned not to take myself out of the dating game. Don't stop so long. I've learned to be more vulnerable. I've learned to trust myself. I've learned that, after all these years, when you have a feeling that something isn't right, it's not right. And I've learned that, it's okay to to have a bad experience. It's still taught you. It still taught me something. It was still a great experience. Although it was some bad things that happened, I'm making the best of it, and I'm looking at myself and I'm seeing where I can make some changes, as far as my dating style. But I do think that, if it had been different people or different scenarios, maybe it would have been something different. I don't know. Only thing,
Go on. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, I'm happy I did it. Actually, I really am, because I feel like I got to see myself, and I've learned a lot about myself. I've grown a lot from this. And it's so funny because all the things that you say is what I already know it. I know it. I know what my issues are.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think we're quite similar. A lot of times when people come on the show, I can see myself in that person, and I'm sure they could probably see myself in me.
Right.
And so I do appreciate that you stuck with me for 2.5 hours and actually spoke, because you could have easily said, you know what, I'm terminating, I'm not ready for this. But you actually stuck through it. And that, for me, shows a big point, is that you are persevering. And, I appreciate the fact that you were vulnerable and you stuck with me in this conversation. So honestly, I honor that, and thank you, Shareese, for that as well.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I was looking forward to it. I think I admire you for this, because I can never do it. I don't know how you do it. I feel like, you're so dead on with some of this stuff. I'm like, this guy's brain, like, how can he say all of that in one breath and mean it? And you express yourself in relationships in such a way that is like, wow. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I think since beginning of season 1 or season 2, I was Ready to Love, but it's in the family. I'll be honest with you, the men are like this. Yeah.
Okay. And you're single?
I'm single by choice, baby.
All right. Okay. Same.
It's a bit dangerous out there.
Same over here.
Baby, see me later. I'm coming to America next year.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you.
I want to know about you. I want to know more about you.
You know about me? Listen,
yes.
we you know what? I mean, listen, they we have to talk, we have to do this offline.
How's your, are you this experience from your own experiences, or just from
a bit of both. A lot of it is I don't know how to explain it, but it's I take a lot from several instances. I've only been in 3 relationships. Each of them have been about 2.5, and I think the last one was about 9 months. But I tend to take a lot of experiences from those, take a lot of lessons from those experiences. And that's why I said, like, it's a gift that God opens your eyes to see the different instances and how they can be applied and helped. And obviously, you kind of read and you kind of research and everything. And you can, I'm very much empathic, so I kind of sense and feel people's emotions and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? Yes, so
I'm very
like I'll begin of it. That's it. Yeah. And I'm like you, I'm a protector. So I think a lot of times also I sense those things when someone else is also being protective. I can see, because I know that feeling. I'm like, I see you. You're just like me. Me and you the same, girl. I know, I see it. I see it. So I stick with it, because I know we are on the same boat. I just need to persevere and show you that, hey, I'm with you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm with you. And I think you've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
On the show, because you've actually come out and, people at first might be like, okay, she's been defensive, but then when you opened up, everyone's like, okay, we see Shareese now. And I'm seeing some comments that are saying, we see Shareese now because we're seeing her in a different light. And I think many people can identify with you, Shareese, because a lot of people are going through the exact same things you're going through. The world that we live in is a very hard world. And it is. Men ain't shit. Okay, not all men. Right. You know what I mean? And a lot of women, black women especially, are going through a lot of things. So I get it. And so I'm understanding, I'm trying to create that safe space. But so I've been doing it for a little while. But it's just nice. Honestly, it's God's gift.
It is. You're definitely gifted with this. You do a great job. I've been very entertained listening to you talk about me. So thank you. I couldn't wait for this day to come.
This
So
is
you
why I
know
said we got to
what?
talk offline.
I'm so happy I got to end it with you, honestly.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate it, Shareese, honestly.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So listen, I mean, listen. You know, my door's always open. We gonna talk.
You better not ignore
And
my calls now.
oh, baby, listen, I ain't gonna know that
I'm
call.
coming to the
Okay.
UK, baby.
Hey, shout me. Listen, you come to you can shout me, baby. Okay, shout me. Okay. I mean, I gotta spit. I mean, I mean, yes, come to the UK. Come to the UK, guys. I was about to go into dark arts there. Yes, come to the UK. Come to the UK. We want to see you at the UK, and let me know. Yeah, when you're ready, let me know, and I'll definitely meet up and link up. You know, just a
Yeah,
flight. Someone said just a flight away.
it's
Come
just
fly with me.
that's right. I'll be there.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's right.
exactly. If Miami to London, it's not far. It's not far. Yeah, it's not far.
You
Oh, by
got-
the way, any businesses, anything that we can get
Oh,
behind, any business ventures or any kind of schemes that we're going to, that we can. Because I saw some
yeah,
people saying they want to know they want to know about your skin,
skincare. Yeah.
skincare.
So
Yeah, they want to know.
LoganSkincare.com is the website. You can get products there. You can get services. If you ever come to Miami, please come have a facial with me so you can experience what Samson did.
Love that.
Yeah, so I have Logan Skincare as my company and Shareese Logan on Instagram
Okay.
and Twitter
I can see it. I got it. Fantastic.
and
Let me
YouTube.
put it in the chat. Let me put it in the chat for the guys, for the ladies. I've put it in www.loganskincare.com. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
No, because they were asking for it. So you know, your skin be looking good. And how do we get the toes looking like the toes? You know, people are sucking toes, so we need to know how you be getting these toes looking the way you do, Shareese.
Because I think it's very important that you keep yourself well manicured. So I keep me a nice pedicure.
Okay. All right. This is you rubbing the hand. How you rubbing the hands? That's the Birdman rub there, Shareese.
Self
She
care,
said,
you know.
yeah.
I just pull my toes out when I go on a date, and I just sit there and
You just have to just lift the leg up. Just
yeah,
oh,
just
that's a
lift
bit of
my leg
thigh. My
up.
bad, guys. Sorry.
That's what you like. Try to tip me. I see you.
Oh, no, that was by mistake.
No,
I mean, I
wrist
didn't mean to lift my
muscle.
thigh. I didn't mean to lift my thigh up, guys. I didn't mean to lift that thigh up.
Smart. I like that. I like that.
Gotta play a little bit, you know. Gotta let them know, baby.
Right, baby.
Oh, gracious. Any final words before we jump out? Any final words that you have, Shareese?
Thank you. All I want to say is thank you. Keep watching me grow and glow. Thank you. This has been really, really enlightening, and it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shareese. Thank you.
And
Audience members. Oh, go for it. You want someone else? Go for it.
no, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, audience members, it's been amazing. You stuck with us, on a great conversation. I think you've witnessed not just an interview, but a really great conversation. And I think if anybody's out there as well, look, you know, taking your time. I've learned some key things here. Taking your time, and also just supporting people. And sometimes you just need to stick with a conversation, you know, and be patient, you know, because it bears its own fruits. And so I appreciate Shareese and anybody else too who may be able to kind of see themselves in myself or Shareese as well. We want to appreciate you. Look, we want to continue those kind of conversations and the growth as well. And I honor you, Shareese, as well for coming on here because it's never easy. I know I can come a bit hard sometimes, but you know I appreciate you. All right.
Thanks for your advice. I'm gonna take it. Take his advice, ladies. He's good.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Audience, it's been blessed. It's been a beautiful conversation. We'll see you again very, very soon. Look, don't do anything I wouldn't do out there, guys. We came out 800 strong. I really, really appreciate it as well. Share this with somebody else. Share this with a friend, someone who loves Ready to Love. This is the kind of stuff that we love doing, all right? All right. You didn't start the way you wanted to go, but listen, look how it got to in the end. That's what patience will do. And when you genuinely care about people, it should get you to that place as well. All right? Okay, I appreciate you guys. Still up, still loaded. All right? Appreciate you. And hey, if you feel like you want to support LittleBlackBook91, cash at me, baby. Okay, all right? Don't leave me spare. I see some people. Okay, let me just say this. Drizzy, thank you so much. In fact, let me shout you out as well. Show Child, thank you so much for this. We appreciate you, honor you as well. Let me just say Druzy as well is G. I can see that she puts on. I am scrolling. There we go. And Druzy G also put as well. Life-changing gems being dropped. Honestly, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you again for another interview. I believe I've got LJ coming through as well. We're gonna get deep, people. Okay, I'm gonna have them. Most of the interviews are gonna come out after the reunion, so we're gonna have Justice, Looney, LJ, Jamala, Randall, Kayla. I've been in contact with all of them, so we're gonna get these interviews going. Okay, but I really appreciate you guys, and behave yourselves out there. Okay, much love and appreciation. We'll see you again very, very soon.